to week number 2 here in our homely basements for the Supergirl Gamer Pro League of Legends tournament. Last week, we had a knockdown, drag 'em out set of games. Our Gamer Snails ended up being the victors there, taking on the Sailor Scouts. Both of the teams we will be seeing return here today. And we are jumping in just like last time, the quarterfinals, hopping then into the semis, and hopefully we'll be getting as many games out of you guys as possible, depending on the timeline and whatnot. I do know for this first one, we are doing a bit of a pro draft here, but joining me, like last week, is the wonderful Kari Wave. How are you, Kari?
So good. We're really super excited for these games, especially the first two that are coming up here. Really, honestly, the teams that we saw last week, so much fun, so much excitement. I genuinely like the stories that we have going on here, the rivalries already forming. I really think it's going to be and I'm not just saying that. I really think it's going to be a fun one.
Yes, and last week was spectacular, actually. None of the games were really very heavy-handed. All the games went to about 30 minutes. Our final game, these are best of ones. Our final game went to close to 40, if not a little bit over that. So some spectacular games that we saw last week. I can guarantee we're going to see the same thing this week. We may be seeing some different teams, depending, as this is now the quarterfinals. So games have been going throughout the day. Keep in mind, guys, that this is a new set every single week, so you can sign up to the tournament on a weekly basis. Will be 9 weeks total. So this is, 7 remaining after this one. Numbers hard. So don't be afraid to sign up now. Find some friends. There is a Discord channel as well where you can set up a pug group if you're looking for other players. If you are a specific role and want to hop in, please go ahead and join that. The Twitter is at SG Gamer Pro, if I'm not mistaken. I'll double check that one here through the production book. But I'm stoked for today's games. Hopefully we will be seeing some of these returning players, as we saw some pretty cool lineups in terms of the compositions within those teams and what these guys have attempted playing. Some things that went really well, some things that didn't go quite so well that will likely be tweaked here. Either way, it is an exciting set and plenty more to come, which is the best part about all of it.
Yeah, I'm really honestly excited to see, especially our reigning champions, the Gamer Snails or Gamer Snails. I'd like to know the cadence that they would prefer, but Gamer Snails is probably my preferred version of that name. But they put up a massive fight and a lot of fun too. Everybody had a really good sense of humor. I saw some of the players who had played games prior chatting in Twitch and cheering each other on. It's been a really supportive environment too between all of these folks. So I'm really excited to see how it proceeds going from there. And all the relationships that are forming here.
Yeah, and that is exactly what we're going for. I mean, this is a series dedicated to celebrating women in gaming here. The Supergirl Gamer Pro, more recent Club 2017 was the inception of all of that. But Supergirl Pro has been going on for an extra 10 years beyond that, starting in 2007 with all kinds of tournaments happening across the world, everything from surfing, skateboarding. I mean, there's yoga, there's all kinds of classes, things of that nature. So if you're interested in supporting women, then hey, hop in. If you're interested in supporting women in gaming, this is the event for you. We have CSGO that happens every Friday now for the next several weeks. League of Legends is on the Saturday. And then on Sunday, we have Hearthstone. And those games apparently have been ridiculous. So if you're digging Hearthstone, check those games in because they have been, I mean, I've already said knockdown drag 'em outs once tonight, but that is pretty much the epitome of it based on what I heard from those games going on.
Yeah, a lot of enthusiasm. I actually popped in and watched the last two CSGO weeks, and they are absolutely very serious. A lot of fun to watch, and these teams really genuinely are taking this very seriously. While we are obviously our teams are taking it really seriously. I feel like we're a little more lighthearted, but CSGO, if you were looking for some very fierce, very serious competition, those they've prepared a lot. They've taken a lot of time, and they're all taking it really seriously, and it is a lot of fun to watch. Everybody is extremely skilled in what they're doing.
Some pretty big name broadcasters too for the other events. Not to like down talk us at all, but my followers nowhere near Miss Harvey. I will say that.
Yeah, Miss Harvey is absolutely incredible. Such fun personalities that we have over there. Yeah, I especially enjoy the fact that we have some Canadian casters too. So I mean, you and I are both from the US. Yep. It's nice to be able to commiserate with some folks over there. So
Oh yeah, and hopefully we've got players as well from all over because there are no restrictions in terms of these teams aside from the fact that they are. It is necessary to have 3 females or non-binaries per team, so there is that slight integration. But other than that, these players can be coming from wherever in the world, and I would love to see a little bit of exposure on that piece. Aside from that, too, I mean, now's probably not a horrible time to point out that we have some sponsors down there in the right-hand side. We'll be bringing those up occasionally. I know that you are currently wearing some Zenny gaming glasses, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yep, sure am. I've got that good blue light blocking technology. I actually get migraines and stuff from looking at screens, so having that blue light blocking technology from Zenny has actually been a lifesaver for me.
That's huge, and hopefully I'll be getting some here soon to show those off a little bit. I have used some of that style in the past, never prescription or anything like that, and they're ridiculously cheap as well. I will say that most of these, gunners, things like that, even non-prescription, you're looking at $60 for standard blue light reflecting glasses, and some of these frames are as low as like $23 for Zenny. So some really incredible options and selections, some really cool ones too. They've got some crazy colors and crazy frames and things like that going on, and it's incredibly easy to get your prescription in there. Really just your pupil diameter and then the little number that they hand you on that card is all that you need to get that started. And then of course other names that I'm sure you guys already know about: Nissan, US Air Force, their GameStop, and the United States Marine Corps. Like I said, we'll get into those a little bit later on. But in the meantime, what are we hoping to see today here, Kari? Anything in particular in terms of like champions, compositions, anything like that, play styles maybe that you're expecting to see or hoping to see?
Week 2, everything is up in the air. It looks like we're actually going to cut to a break right now, but we have plenty of time to talk about all of the strategies that have been going on. I'm looking for a little more chaos, so
Thanks.
we'll get back to you about that.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Come on, breathe.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you?
You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
And we're back. We are going to be hopping here into the draft for game number 1 of week number 2 here today. And we do have some returning faces. I mean, I guess you guys won't be able to see their faces, but some returning names, as the first game is going to be the Gamer Snails taking on the Sailor Scouts. So the exact finals game that we had last week is kicking off this quarterfinals round, meaning we won't have a repeat of last week, but I mean, the closest thing we can get to that.
I just think it'll get more exciting from here. We're going to start off with a bang, and then we'll see what goes on from there. These were our favorites. They put on a really good show for us, and I'm extremely excited to see how it goes. Individual players have just been, I mean, we saw their junglers, absolute dream. So we're going straight into Champ Select here. Why don't you go ahead and read off that first team name, huh?
Oh yeah, the Gamer Snails. So we've got Zirion in the top, Noisy in the jungle there, Cowrie, and if we say these wrong again, I'm gonna blame you for having a weird name. Lustfully as the ADC, and Hanabi in the support role.
Yes, on red side we have Sailor Scouts, returning champions. We've got Prothean on top, Goldflower in the jungle, one of my favorites there. Pan mid, Lilac Soul, and Neki Lime. No changes to these lineups as far as I can tell.
No, that's what we like to see too. That means that they have confidence in their teams. They did make it to the finals of the last round, so it does make quite a bit of sense to keep those players on board. Again, Gamer Snails were the ones that took home at that first place for week number 1, and only one of these teams can potentially get to that point after the beginning of these quarterfinals here today. We are rounding out the first phase of bans. On the blue side for Gamer Snails, it looks like a Volibear, a Kayn, and a Graves are going to be the picks. So they know now, don't give Prothean the Volibear.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't give Goldflower any movement whatsoever to take on a solid jungler. And we've seen in pretty much any pro tournaments that have happened that Graves is making that comeback and doing really well. So nobody wants to see that on the map. Good on them. And then we've got some bans on the other side for Sailor Scouts with Master Yi, Set, and Galio, an absolute dreaded not favorite of ours. We are not fans of Galio. Difficult to lane against. Glad to see it. Glad to see it.
Galio did show up once or twice, Cowrie specifically running that in the Gamer Snails last week against the Fighting Dreamers, so clearly something that they don't want to deal with again. And also, yes, just a very annoying champion. The Set, did we even get the chance to see a Set last week? We did, you know what, in the finals. So I'm going to eat my words right there on Prothean, so he banned it out from himself, and it does look like we are going to be starting out with some interesting champs here. Gamer Snails are going to lock in the Morgana, the Lulu, and the Jhin as a final there. Sailor Scouts, on the other hand, it looks like an Ashe and Nanami, and now potentially that Ahri.
The Ahri on Pan, I think we saw that last week. Very, very solid performance. I think, I'm trying to remember what that exact, it was a classic lane. It was a Lux versus Ahri with Pan on Ahri.
Yes.
That went very well in Pan's favor. Really great champ for them, so I'm glad to see them on that. But definitely, I think Lulu actually has one of the highest win rates in NA right now. And I haven't seen that champ on the Rift very often, especially in, pro and tournament play. So I'm actually really excited to see a Lulu out and about.
Yes, there's a lot of utility that Lulu offers, but it gets difficult in terms of coming to late game, kind of falling off. That utility luckily does not fall off, but more the capability of her other abilities tend to a little bit. But speaking of Goldflower on a mobile champion, hey, remember that Hecarim that we saw too last week? Yeah, that's been locked in now for that jungle on the side of Sailor Scouts. So certainly something scary coming from the Scouts here. Lustfully now is going to lock in the Nasus, and then they're going to finish it up with a Sylas here. So a very heavy, aggressive team on the side of Gamer Snails with a little bit less survivability than we might have seen from them last week.
Yeah, you hope that they can close this game as quickly as possible, but, if it doesn't happen, you do have that late game spike from Nasus, so there is kind of a backup plan here, but it definitely looks like, as usual, these teams both want to close out as quickly as humanly possible and scoop up that win. The Hecarim, though, that's going to be really fun to watch. An absolute nightmare on Goldflower for the other team. And Prothean on Aatrox, too. We talked about that, kind of snuck up and really impressed us with that top play. So we're going to see some very classic picks here in terms of the very short history of this tournament so far.
And with an Aatrox as well, just a lot of these champions that are picked up, particularly for the Sailor Scouts, if they get ahead, it is very difficult to push them back. And Sailor Scouts having the final pick on that one went with the Aatrox last pick, so maybe something that they wanted from the beginning, or maybe something that they just decided in response to the Nasus here. Either way, a fed Aatrox is a very scary laner.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think starts a little bit stronger than Nasus, might be able to bully Zekrom off the map here. Hopefully that's not the case. We'd love to see something much closer than that. Can't really, honestly, like we've seen in the past, it's really hard to make judgments on these teams before we see them in action. But as things start to pick up, we kind of start to understand their story, their play style, and their intentions. But Game Mercenaries and Sailor Scouts have a very, very remarkably similar play styles where their bot lanes are both very patient, very controlled, and they just wait until they have the opportunity to shine. But we see very little aggressive play in those lanes. It's all up to the junglers that end up mixing things up and really aggressively fighting for map control. So these lanes really trust both Noisy and Goldflower really are kind of the gatekeepers, and I'd love to see if these are the strategies that they both subscribe to. Having played against each other and having seen each other's plays, will they subscribe to the exact same strategy, or will there be a mix-up here?
And of all the junglers to keep an eye on as well, going along with what you just said there, Kari, and that, yeah, the junglers have a lot of pressure on this game. Of all the junglers, Goldflower and Noisy showed some really impressive play last week, and may or may not have carried one or two of the games that we saw each of these teams running through. Really, it was majority top lane jungle games that we were watching. Very, very anticlimactic in terms of the bottom lanes until later on in the game when it moved over to the team fights, and pretty exciting mid lanes there. We're gonna hop right into it though. This is game number 1. I'm so excited. Game number 1 of week number 2 here for the Supergirl Gamer Pro quarterfinals. We'll see how it kicks off. Sailor Scouts already doing a little bit of scouting of their own here, just in this river bush, not pushing too hard, and some pinks coming out now from both teams. A little bit of expectancy there from another player.
Yeah, everyone's trying to just stay even. Nobody's taking any serious risks. It doesn't look like invades are in the cards here. Both of these teams have not been. Spoke too soon a little bit.
Say it. Oh no, Hanabi having to flash out on this one. Goldflower does have that movement speed advantage, and another flash going to come from Prothean as an engage on this one. Goldflower also used his ghost on that engage, and pots are not going to be enough to keep Lulu alive. First blood being taken by Sailor Scouts.
Yeah, I was surprised there for a minute when I thought there wasn't going to be an invade, because you know with the Hecarim, you have some very good chances of being able to indiscriminately hunt down the weak. And unfortunately, as a support, Lulu is the prime target for that.
You do have an ability to kind of help speed yourself up. She did end up flashing there right at the beginning, but when you have 5 members, one of whom is a Hecarim that used Ghost immediately, it is almost impossible to get out of that one. But still, very, very much recoverable here by the Gamer Snails if they play the rest of this with a little bit more caution than they might have been expecting early game.
Yeah, 3 assists from that one too. It's a bit of a rough start, but again, nothing set in stone. We've seen these teams flip and flop, and I think it's going to be a good one here.
And keep in mind, Game Mercenaries did beat out Sailor Scouts last week, so that was maybe Sailor Scouts as well saying, hey, we're bringing it in a little bit harder this week. We know you took us down to the finals, and we're taking home more points than you tonight.
I'd like to think that, you know, Sailor Scouts maybe poured a little bit over. You get that whiteboard, and you're looking at Game Mercenaries, you know, looking at their strategies and kind of studying up, because it looks like Sailor Scouts have made it very clear that they will not be bullied out this time here. So we've got you know, just some regular good action that we've learned to expect from that bot lane. I'm really excited to see how top shakes out. You know, once Nasus gets stacks going, he becomes a sleeper favorite. It's really awesome. I remember way back in like season 3 or 4, the secret to climbing in lower ELOs was always a Nasus, because they just never planned ahead for it. You could never see it coming.
Yep.
I would love to see a sleeper Nasus, but sometimes games don't last long enough for that. So
Yeah.
we'll see what happens here.
And, you know, the meta has changed a lot in terms of top lane. It has gotten so insane. Top lane 1 or 2 seasons ago even was much more of an island. It was really waiting kind of to see who pushed to the first tower so that everyone could kind of move to that team fight stage. But now at this point, there's so many more aggressive, and speaking of aggression, Sailor Scouts and Goldflower wants to go in on this one. He is going to get the dash, but Zerion did have a little bit of preemptive vision on that one and backed out safely. And that means that no second blood is going over to Sailor Scouts just yet.
Yeah, just trying to, gently, well, maybe not so gently with Hecarim, but just taking off the pressure a little for that Aatrox. Prothean can start to farm a little bit more. It doesn't do a lot, but you can get ahead, 1 or 2 CS, and that starts to snowball into a lead if in particular you're easily tilted. I don't think that's something we necessarily have to worry about with Zirian, but still, you never know. Those little ganks can be little psychological bombs on the other team. It looks like we're doing okay, though, here in top.
Yeah, and we can see Zirion did take that heal, knowing that he is in that early losing lane, has a lot less pressure than Prothean is going to have, at least early on in this one, so he did burn that summoner spell, but that also means that he didn't have a teleport, so it was a risky move to try to consider backing at that stage. He did decide to stay. He was at enough health, and that heal gave him a little bit of a movement speed to really navigate away from both the Aatrox and the Hecarim in that instance, but he will continue to get poked down, and so his hope now is to kind of stall this lane, keep it frozen towards his side. Otherwise, another pop-up from Goldflower should equal his demise.
Yeah, just gotta play it safe there, farm, keep your head down, and do what Nasus does best. For the most part, we've seen them all play towards top lane majority of the time, and it looks like that still is true. The action is taking place in top. These are their star players that have been carrying these games, so naturally you want to play the top and try to get as much of an advantage as possible for the other team here. Looks like Zirian's still playing it really safe. You gotta freeze a lane, especially with an early game Nasus. You just want to stay in lane for as long as humanly possible and farm up as much as possible to make sure that you are appropriately scaling. Because without farm with Nasus, you are useless, essentially. So you need to make sure that you don't get locked out, push your wave too hard. It seems like bot lane's still doing really well here. We're evenly matched. Everybody's being kind of respectful of each other's space. I'm really excited, though. The Ashe versus Jhin lane can be really, really exciting given just a little bit of time. Sometimes they take advantage of these power spikes. As it stands, though, it doesn't look like anybody is actually setting up for any sort of level 6 power spike fight at all. It looks actually like we're probably going to see it pretty evenly down here for a little bit. Hecarim starting to clear on that other side there. I don't think there's going to be a gank on bot. What do you think? Do you think he's going to stop by there?
It's not quite pushed in any direction, so it's always a little bit risky to try something like that because you may just be wasting your time, and that's where we're at, certainly with the top lane. Is that for a while now, you are going to see, until one of these sides get pressured in a different direction, we're likely going to see not a ton of movement up there until this Sylas decides to navigate in. A little bit longer it takes him to actually go and engage, or at least for his preference, really, in this instance. A recall on the Nasus, though. Oh, and he ended up swapping, so he has got teleport now on board, so he went a little bit of a tricky route here with this Nasus. Zirion now should be making his way up, and he's just going to walk out that way, just in case something does occur down bottom, as the Sailor Scouts have been pushing this. I would like to point out as well the great pings that are coming out, in particular from Gamer Snails. We saw a little tiny little invade there from the Hecarim throwing down a ward. The second it was laid down, the Sylas pinged it out. Hey, we know they've got vision on this side, and already some really great vision being placed down by both teams.
Yeah, the map control always remains key here, especially with both of these teams. They know, their junglers know that the whole game genuinely comes down to hinging on their performance because their lanes are giving them all of their confidence. They're playing it safe, and they are basically putting their entire game strategy on the hopes that their junglers will be able to make a difference. And so we don't see a lot of early kills in these lanes simply because everybody seems to know the score. Both teams seem to know that they need to just stay in line, trust their jungler, and wait for them to come in and make a difference. It looks like we're having a little bit of a mean mugging each other over the river here, but still playing to top as per usual, and is definitely the best possible strategy for now. It looks like they both are just making sure that they're playing to each other's strengths and trying to annul it. I think it is a little funny, honestly, that these teams, as far as like scaling goes, like the lanes are very evenly matched in skill. The junglers are evenly matched, the top is evenly matched, the bot is evenly matched, which leads to a very even game, but also leads for them to be able to annul each other's advantages, and leads to a lot of interesting plays, and so that's kind of what we're building up to, is waiting for one team to have crack in the armor so the other one can exploit it as ruthlessly as possible.
And maybe, you know, a feeling of a bit of an annulment as well on that first blood being taken so quickly and so abruptly by the Sailor Scouts. Looks like that blast cone is going to be used by Noisy here as Zirian is going in full on. A flash out from Prothean. He is ulted, but he is not going to be able to escape from this one. Zirion picking up that elimination. That's going to be 1-for-1 now.
Yeah, little bit of a bummer there. Hey, maybe that first blood psychologically made Prothean think, maybe I can push this in a little bit more. But you know, it looks like they'll take advantage. Like I said, any crack in the armor, they really do make a great job of being positioned where they need to be. And just Noisy being there to be able to like scoop in on that, just the slightest bit out of position, maybe a little too far. I wouldn't say that though. Using the blast cone is a fun, easy way to get into that lane as quickly as possible.
All right, I'm slightly confused now because I was like, okay, Zirion took the Unsealed Spellbook. That's how he swapped over to Teleport, but if I'm not mistaken, that's too little time between being able to swap again. So we'll figure out exactly what happened there.
Oh, yeah.
Noisy now, yeah, because I believe 6 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. I should probably, you know, double check my information before I say stupid things. But I believe 6 minutes is the first swap over for Unsealed Spellbook, and then you've got like 2 minutes maybe? Or sorry, 4 minutes, I believe, before you can swap another time. And the ultimate now coming in from Goldflower. He is just going to smite out that opposing laner. Noisy going down at 0-1-1. So Sailor Scouts taking everything they possibly can here. That's not a good sign on Goldflower. We know how difficult he can be when he gets fed on any champion.
Oh, every advantage. Always just absolutely maximizes every advantage. To add insult to injury, goes ahead and grabs that red as well from Sylas. Not a great feeling, especially as a jungler. And this Sylas has already recalled twice now. Has gone back to base a third time. Really difficult to maintain.
Whoa! Speaking of Goldflower invading everything and everyone, he is going to jump in once again and lustfully is going to go down in that encounter. In the meantime, Zirion on the top lane is going to take down Sailor Scout. So that's going to be a 1-for-1 across Summoner's Rift. A little more even in terms of playstyle here, and a little more action than we're used to seeing in the bottom lane, which I love.
Yeah, those tower dives can be really, really demoralizing for teams. You know, especially this early on, you're like, wow, he can already get me where I think I'm safe. But that is the Hecarim special, being able to get in and then just get out without any consequences. But you know, there is that saving grace with Zirion taking that kill in top. Almost immediately annuls the tilt and discouragement you feel from bot lane there. So I think that we still have a really good even mental on both teams, if I had to guess. Seeing those two so close side by side, even though Sailor Scouts are taking advantage as much as they can on this edge, they are here for revenge. They want to prove themselves. They want this win so bad, and they are not giving Gamer Snails any opening so far.
And we didn't see that fight. We saw the end of it, of course, just enough. The amount that we needed to see to tell you guys what's going on. But we didn't see exactly. Okay, the Unsealed Spellbook has been taken by Zirion. I can confirm that now with the Ignite being picked up by him here. But that means that Prothean likely was just in a little too hard. Did not anticipate as much damage as is coming out from this Nasus. Now Noisy wanting to help this Nasus out even more and allow him to stack up as much as possible. Shelly is going to make her appearance here in the top lane, and that's already a considerable amount of plays. We've still got 2 minutes before those go down. Prothean doing a considerable amount of damage, though, across the board to 2 members there. He's going to have to focus down Shelly, though, to prevent his tower from taking too much damage here.
Yep, he has Shelly and then the wave to contend with, and that leaves him with a bit of an issue on top there. It looks like it seems as though Noisy is trying their hardest to make sure that Zirion will be able to roam as quickly as possible. Now at 88 farm, enough stacks to make a difference in the game. Starting to kind of push that aggressive top strategy, playing towards top, making sure that they'll be able to roam as soon as possible. These 2 top players have also been key. It seems to go jungle top as far as catalysts in these 2 games with these 2 teams. So playing towards top, trying to get that tower down as quickly as possible to end the lane phase, and we'll see how many other plays we make towards top here coming up.
And it is interesting, too, to see this mid lane stall out as much as it has. Really no interference from either of these junglers on this mid lane, just an even back and forth across the board. Ahri just having that assist from the very first kill of the game, that first blood onto Lulu on that early invade, and really not a huge difference in the CS differential, which is what we like to see as well at this point in the game. Getting close to those plates coming down, Zirion just showing a little bit of prowess. Hey, yeah, I can poke into you and you can do whatever you want, and I will still continue to push this lane for my favor here.
Yeah, good dodges by Zirion too. You know, Aatrox is a very focused champion. His combos require that the other champion kind of stay in the general area, or at least that they can use some tracking to make sure they get those hits, and doing a really great job on Zirion's part. Ooh, we got a gank
right when I
here.
try to take a drink there, Prothean's gonna burn his flash and his ultimate here, and in comes Goldflower. It actually dashes him into the tower and then gets pushed out in return on accident there by the Aatrox. The charm just barely missing Noisy at the end there, and a teleport coming in very last second by Kaori there in the mid lane. They want to push down and get this first tower of the game. Some really good poke as well in the bottom lane coming from Lilac Soul. So some great back and forth and a lot more communication and very quick response time now that we're seeing this week. These guys are prepared to take on their enemies.
Absolutely impressed with the way that Kaori stuck to Pan. In games past, we have seen Pan really dominate, which takes away from their ability to play top. The other teams generally have to respond to Pan's. Ahri gets a lot of kills, and they have to kind of mitigate that damage, but Pan has been a little more measured. Really, it seems Pan's job right now is just to stick to that Morgana, stick to Kaori, try to get kills, but for the most part, keep them out of top lane. Right now, the game is the junglers and top lane and everybody else who interferes. The other job is just to keep them out of there and make sure they can't take advantage of any of those missing pings. So.
And now Hecarim is sitting at 3-0-1. He does have a gold bounty on his head, so a big old target sitting there above that rainbow Hecarim. 3-0-1, and he does have a finished full item, as well as a not quite finished jungle item, but he is working his way there. Now Goldflower, he's just going to solo this dragon, and nobody's going to do anything about it. A couple pings coming out, actually, from the red team that somebody might be trying to investigate their way down, but he is just too quick in that clear. Nothing could be done by the Gamer Snails to prevent that one.
Yeah, not a lot of vision on the dragon. That's usually
Woo! The bubble coming out, the wave to follow tidal wave from that. Na'Vi Goldflower now on a rampage as he takes down another member. Noisy is the next target here to be had by the Sailor Scouts, and the ultimate is going to come out from Goldflower under tower. He is going to take 2 tower shots, but he survives it. Oh my goodness, what a fight. Sailor Scouts picking up 3 eliminations there down bottom.
You hate to see it. You hate to see that Hecarim under tower. You think you're safe. You think you've made it. Sylas uses that Kingslayer, really thinks they've got enough health to make it through that encounter, but ultimately does not make it. It is a tale as old as time, that Hecarim going under tower, but we still have a nice even game going top here. These 2 star players trying to show each other as much respect as possible. So despite Sailor Scouts recouping some kills in bot lane, you still have Prothean struggling against this Nasus, maybe underestimating Zirion's proficiency with the champion.
It does seem to be that way a little bit, and that is a saving grace here for Gamer Snails, because a 6-0-1 Hecarim now at this point is going to be incredibly scary no matter what. A Nasus, though, if he can maintain this, if he can charge up those stacks enough to get to the point of being able to fight him. The problem is the burst that is coming here from this Hecarim is enough to destroy the majority of the rest of the team, and he hasn't even recalled here for another purchase. So Noisy is going to be a little bit risky here on this one. He's going to jump over to the other side of the Baron Pit and chase after this Hecarim, whether or not he knows that Hecarim is on that side. It looks like the recall's coming through. Noisy wants to make his way over, and he is actually going to ping out this invade here on the top lane, possibly too late for Goldflower to do anything about it as his recall goes through Prothean as the next target, and Zirion's going to pick up yet another one for himself, bringing that kill spread to 4-7 in favor of the Sailor Scouts still.
Dang, Noisy's got to be proud of that play without even knowing it. Goldflower recalled in the bush right next to them, recalled right at the exact moment. It was too late to make a difference there and potentially help Prothean recover from that gank. Very well done gank on their part, even if they didn't have the vision to really understand the timing.
And now as we are jumping in once again. Lilac Soul is going to find one out for himself. That feels pretty good. Zirian, though, unfortunately, another target here. Pushed way too far in at that point. They do have that first tower down in the top lane, but 2 members versus 1 is going to lead to his demise there. And Sylas going down once more, 1-3-2. So he's not feeling too great about that with his opposing jungler sitting at 6-0-3. And that means the Sailor Scouts are going to take advantage of that top clear and pick up another Shelly, or pick up their first Shelly, I suppose, since Gamer Snails got that first one.
Yeah, bot lane being able to free itself from that tower there and start to roam wasn't necessarily accounted for when they were pushing really hard top. They didn't know where that team, where Lilac Skull was, didn't account for it, and got punished in top lane for that reason. It looks like we're doing the mid push now. That's a pretty aggressive strategy, but it is the right thing to do at this point in the game.
There is still a push being done there by Lilac Soul in the top lane. We can see Noisy picking up Ari's ultimate there. We'll see what he can make do with that. Considerably behind in CS here at this point in the game. We're getting close. We're at just over 19 minutes now on this one. And look at the clear here from Goldflower. He is everywhere all at the same time, doing exactly what he wants to. Now 700 gold bounty on his head. So when this horseman goes down, it will be a good chunk of gold in the pockets of one of these members of Gamer Snails, and hopefully it'll be enough for them to pick up an item or two that will allow them to push him back, or at least escape in some of these instances. And I kind of talked about when we were doing the draft, or when they were doing the draft, the survivability of the Gamer Snails compared to Sailor Scouts with such an aggressive team that the Sailor Scouts drafted. And it does look like it is working out that way. Unfortunately, just not enough escape to get away from Goldflower on that Hecarim. And honestly, at this point, too many champions to ban away from him to really make a difference in saying that, okay, Hecarim we can allow, but he's got so many more up his sleeve that really he can make any of this work.
Yeah, and I feel the same way about...
We should be saying she, huh?
Yeah. You know what? Gender's a social construct.
You're all girls now to us.
Yeah, everyone gets to be girls.
And there it is. This is the fight that we wanted to see. The ultimate having to come out from Goldflower as an escape mechanism for him there. He does have it available. It is a relatively short cooldown for him there. Noisy now wanting to make a bigger play off of this, but that's just showing exactly what we wanted from there. Noisy now finding Lilac Soul out as he walked blindly into the bush there. 2 more members, though, of Sailor Scouts means that Noisy has to escape on the opposing jungle side, and Hecarim is on his way down. I don't know if there's any way to escape from this one. The blast code used for Prothean to jump over to swift dash from Noisy. A pretty clean dash across there on the wall to avoid Prothean, but it was not enough to save his life there. And now it looks like Sailor Scouts are going to focus on this Cloud Dragon. In the meantime, possibly poking down Prothean, really the one here to fight them off, and down goes the Nasus. Lilac Soul finding themselves another pickup there. Lusky is going to be the next target here, but Goldflower is stunned down, just barely able to escape from that fight. The stopwatch being used, and the instant charm means that down goes another member there, and a quick cleanup there. A couple members back and forth on that one. Only 1 member lost on the side of Sailor Scouts, and a double kill there being picked up by an Aatrox at the end. That dragon did end up going over to Sailor Scouts, sitting at 3 now and 1 up on towers, and that is going to start to chunk that gold differential.
Oof, Ashe is not the one that you wanted there. Lilac Soul, great way to pick up, had 150 gold bounty, but not the bounty that they wanted. Absolutely, Goldflower is the one to take out here. Let's watch a replay of that dragon fight here. Looks like we've done the best that we can here. Lulu trying, just grabbing that kill there. Oh gosh. It seems to go back and forth here a lot with
it certainly was. It was a very
really
split
trying
fight
to secure that dragon, and it looks like things go really poorly with Goldflower focusing on the dragon. But the moment Zirian makes an engagement, Goldflower takes them out, comes back to sweep them out, is confident that he can get both the dragon and these kills, and he does do it.
And the aggression swap there as well between the Aatrox and the Hecarim was absolutely spectacular. Both of them seemingly almost going down and then being able to re-engage to pull aggression away from their teammate. And then that perfect charm there from Pan on the Ahri right at the end, right after the stopwatch went away from that Morgana, meaning there was no recovery available for them. And Prothean, quick enough to snag up the final elimination. He is now going to focus on Noisy, who once again has to run into the opposing jungle, using the ultimate stolen from Hecarim to escape, and he flashes pushes out, but it wasn't enough time as he goes down. Calvary now is the next focus here. The Hecarim tries to fight down, but gets pushed away from the chains there. Goldflower on the other side, though, is going to take down the Lulu, and oh my goodness, Goldflower has so much right now in his pocket in terms of that movement speed and that engage that he is going to ensure they get a clean wipe of this team and can really focus on this Baron without any problems.
Exiting on the turret side is definitely a bold move, maybe a bit of a BM taking a turret hit just because you can and you want to get to Baron a little bit faster. Definitely hate to see it. Zirian here trying to do the split push, make the hardest impact you can with what you've got. But again, our top lane has moved over. Prothean taking the responsibility of Zirian very seriously and trying to meet her down there. Goldflower on their way at this point with a Hecarim with this much of a presence at 11, 0, and 6 and a 700 gold bounty. Implicit map control is the name of the game, and it is extremely difficult to combat that, especially because with this kind of movement speed, with this kind of damage, with this kind of burst, these kind of cooldowns, you can dominate. You can be anywhere on the map almost at any time. You can enter any fight, and it makes it extremely difficult to counter because what they're looking for now are picks, because Gamersnails does not stand a chance in a team fight, and in fact they have been almost tricked into engagements against Sailor Scouts here, thinking that they can compete over different resources and not having a chance there. It seems like Goldflower likes to almost draw them into these engagements, tempt them, give them a little bit of hope, and then just absolutely crush them.
And during that engage as well, we could see Zirian was actually pushing in the bottom lane. So doing what would normally be good, but not when 4 of your members end up going down to Sailor Scouts and they get a phenomenal push there to counter that. So really nothing to make up for it. And that one member that is able to fight off the Aatrox or potentially the Hecarim, who's now sitting at 11, 0, and 6, so I'm not sure if anyone can actually do that at this point. The picks, like you were talking about, is exactly what they need, but that might not even be enough for them because of the mobility that's accessible here on the side of Sailor Scouts. And they're looking to take down yet another tower, pushing with these Baron minions here. It's going to be a safe game now coming from Gamersnails, but that gold differential is not too much to get around. They can certainly even that out if they focus up on these objectives and engage on these fights correctly. They keep trying to do response engages, though. For instance, Sailor Scouts will go in on the Dragon, or they'll go in around the Baron, and the Gamersnails say, hey, maybe we can poke our heads in, see what's going on, see if we can kind of counter this or disengage it. It just has not worked for them so far.
No, it's been a really, really difficult time watching Gamersnails try to recover from the just absolute onslaught here in bot lane.
That was Prothean then on the bottom side, going down.
Despite the rest of the team having a pretty solid game, Prothean has definitely done their best just to mitigate the damage that Zirian, who is the most effective player on their team so far, just trying to mitigate the damage that Zirian can possibly do here. And taking care of that. But yeah, it looks like Prothean was trying to stick to them like glue and made a bit of a missed call there.
Maybe another one coming from Gamersnails. I just talked about these response engages. It's okay. Oh my goodness, no, he is going to go in on that one. Noisy trying his darndest to just steal over that Dragon, to not make it. Look at the movement speed coming from the Ghost and the ultimate. A spectacular blast cone, though, is going to send Goldflower away. He does navigate his way down into the bottom lane and is going to remove lustfully now from this fight. He does get rooted here underneath the tower, but doesn't care. He's going to re-engage on this fight. He knows how much damage he does and how much he can take, and he's going to disengage from this fight. Not enough time. That gold bounty is going to hit someone's pockets, and a double kill over for the Nasus makes him feel much better than how that fight could have turned out.
There's a possibility of Zirian having a massive power spike, riding on that 700 gold bounty, being able to finish 3 items to grab a Thornmail, finish a Spear Visage, and get that Trinity Force online. We're looking pretty here. It's just a matter of whether or not a late game endlessly scaling Nasus can do something to carry this game out of a very dark place for the Gamersnails. I also wanted to point out their great ult by Lilac Soul onto Lustfully so that Goldflower could rush in and close the deal. Maybe, a bit of adding insult to injury there. But I mean, lovely to watch.
Such a good response too, and the big reason Goldflower having to make that disengage down below was that insane blast cone coming from Hanabi, able to push back Goldflower, who used everything to engage on that fight and had to actually move down to that ulted lustfully. And yes, they picked him up again, sitting at 0-5-2 is not a fun place to be right now, but looking at the CS as well, he's still maintaining himself and doing at least what he needs to here. We're still under 10k in terms of that gold differential and getting close to 30 minutes, so this is where those items are really going to start kicking in. And Goldflower using his abilities and his movement speed to engage on Zirian from the backside. That's a solo find there. He's going to ult back in, and they pick up 2 eliminations for that. The tidal wave missing both members with so much damage and so much burst coming from this team. Lustfleet is going to be the 4th one on his team to go down to that. Morgana now sitting at tower saying, what just happened to my team? Having to recall now as Sailor Scouts are making their way heavily into the base.
Yeah, it feels like Zirian maybe emerged with that 700 gold bounty feeling brand new, but could not carry a 1v5. Team didn't make it in fast enough here, and it looks like we might have the end of our game here with Goldflower going in and scooping up Kaori as a sort of a, you know, we're here, we've got full control, and we are back, baby, Sailor Scouts. Holy crap.
That was a great start here, just under 30 minutes. Again, Sailor Scouts taking down our previous victors. They're getting knocked out in the quarterfinals, but hey, I'm expecting to see them again next week as it is new tournament lineups for each of these weeks going on here. What a spectacular game. And now you've got to ban out like a Volibear and a Hecarim and a Galio and an Ari, and there's just too many to count at this point.
Yeah, all of these teams, their comps and their specializations have been very, very diverse, which I think is why it makes these games so fun. Who's going to come out next? Who's going to be the next pick? But the Hecarim, a fan favorite, an old favorite, a very reliable, if you can get him online and going, very easy to make your the opposing jungler Noisy tilt into oblivion. A really rough game to watch for the Gamer Snails, who had such an awesome meteoric rise to the top last week. You love to see it, though. You love to see a team like Sailor Scouts putting in the work, very clearly did their homework and made sure that they knew what they were getting into. That first blood really definitely said, hey, Gamer Snails, are you sitting on that last win? Did you not watch us play? Because we watched you. And we're here to take that win.
And it was very back and forth as well, the finals game against them last time. And I do believe, actually, just in case you guys are interested, we do have a graphic for the bracket that we can throw up right now. And that gives you a little bit of an idea how things have been going here today. Sailor Scouts are going to be going up against Limit Testers, who we did not see last week, so I love seeing some more teams. Your Nightmares against Arara. Arara. So quite a few new players and new teams that we're going to be seeing here today. Very exciting that the 2 finals teams from last week started and kicked off today's tournament. And that means that we may have 2 brand new teams, depending on how this next game goes with the Sailor Scouts Limit Testers, 2 brand new teams in the finals bracket. And that's the exact kind of thing that we love here. We do not want a single team to be dominating this whole thing. We want a good tussle going on.
Yeah, watching Sailor Scouts recover from their loss last week, really, really triumphant, really exciting, especially for us and our viewers to watch. You love to see it. You like to see those meteoric rises. And I expect Gamer Snails to come back with a vengeance as well. I mean, how can we possibly not hope for that? But Sailor Scouts against a team we haven't seen yet, Limit Testers. So
yeah. That's what we're looking at. I recommend mobility.
Yeah.
Mobility, hard CC probably would be very effective against these guys. A lot of, and in particular, coming from Goldflower on just that overwhelming jungle that you're all female, sorry. She has been playing so far during this tournament. There's nothing that you can ban away from this team. That is a great thing to acknowledge in the Sailor Scouts, is that their flexibility is absolutely insane. So probably some mobility, probably a little bit of hard crowd control would do very, very well. And yeah, banning out at least the things that you can't go up against, because that Hecarim, that Kayn, that style of jungle is definitely something that we have seen on board work very, very well for these guys.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do when they get going. It's sort of that momentum. Like, I'm expecting to see, like, Rammus next, honestly. If we're keeping with the theme, we got to get more Zumi boys on the map there and really just close it up. But, you know, seeing these comebacks from teams, too, is really triumphant. If I had to think of one word to describe the Sailor Scouts after witnessing that, I would go with scrappy. Definitely did not give up. Just scrappy, really trying their hardest to prove that they are in this. And they want to win it. Same with Gamer Snails. You can tell they are not out for the count. They definitely want another chance. They want another opportunity. So that'll be something to look forward to next week as well.
And you know what? Going down early means that you get to watch the follow-up games, get a little bit more in terms of like hints on what the team's capabilities are, maybe what their weaknesses are, is one of the hard spots to kind of look for in these, especially if nobody's able to take down Sailor Scouts here. You know, as much as I love to see a team do incredibly well, I'm also rooting for the underdog constantly. And so for them to be taken out early on would be an exciting thing. To see two new teams in that finals bracket for this week would be absolutely exciting. And again, just to potentially see if they do have any weaknesses, if anyone can find one of those pressure points, if anyone can find the Achilles heel of this team, I'm hoping it's going to be our upcoming teams that we've got going next.
Yeah, absolutely. Gamer Snails had the magic combination last week, and do we have another scrappy team that maybe perhaps watched last week's games, which I would highly suggest if you're planning on being in this tournament. Now you have material on your competitors to take a look and see if you can't come up with different strategies, come up with some way to annul that raw aggression coming from both Sailor Scouts and Game Mermaids. Somebody's got to, or Game Snails rather, somebody has got to be able to put it down and maybe take control of those aggressive lanes with some nice control, maybe some tanks. I don't know what the answer is.
A little more survivability. In the meantime, we're going to pop over to a quick break, and we will return right after this and get more games in for you guys.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Breathe. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't gonna compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
All right, we are back. We just finished up a game and won the quarterfinals. We're now hopping into the semifinals. Sorry to disappoint you guys. We will not be watching the Sailor Scouts versus that other new team. We're going to see two brand new teams. We're going to see, I already forgot their names, so I'm a great host right now.
Oh, yeah, you love to see it. No, you got Your Nightmares versus Aurora. It looks like, I think, you know what? that, it looks like Cisco is on your nightmares, though. Am I wrong there? Let's take a look.
We may have changed the name. You know, the other team members may have been like, hey, Cisco, you're not the only one, okay? There's other players.
I'm just looking at the team roster here. With the newer teams, you know, we have a little bit of a look. Cisco is on our rah-rah, so it looks like maybe Cisco 2145 is on our rah-rah. So that was a team that we had seen prior.
Yes.
But we'll take a look at the players here once we get a better look at the roster and find out. But we have seen Cisco play. That is one
against
thing
Sailor Scouts, if I'm not mistaken, last week.
That is correct. Yeah. So we do have one player that we're familiar with. Cisco was the team captain on the other team as well.
Yes.
So that's definitely a player that we are familiar with. Definitely a good leader too. I mean,
had a bit of a hard time, I will say. Played against, if I'm not mistaken, that was the first quarterfinals game of last time. I have really poorly, I wrote notes, but they're not great. So Cisco, if I'm not mistaken, is in the top lane and was playing on that Mord against Prothean's Volibear, and it was a very tough game for them. Really couldn't get it up off the ground, and that was when we first were saying, hey guys, ban the Volibear, because that was just absolutely nasty. And during that game too, again, if I'm not mistaken, if this is all right, I have my 2 MVPs written down as Prothean and as Goldflower on the Elise. So again, one of those crazy mobile champions, very, very aggressive in terms of jungle play and jungle style. And so hopefully maybe a little bit of a change there as well. I do know that the Teemo was on the opposing jungle side and could not get up off the ground either. So there's 2 lanes that we've been talking about that have been carrying these hard, which is the top lane and the jungle so far. Did not get off the ground for the last one. So fingers crossed that Cisco finds their footing on this one. Maybe a little bit more of a resolute team composition that they can go into heavy engages. And you know what? Maybe going up against such a prominent opposition like the Sailor Scouts as early on as they did last week might give them a little bit of a heads up here in terms of what they might be looking forward to in these upcoming games now.
I completely agree, though. Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger, out for revenge, potentially a first blood. As we saw in that last game, a loss seems to ignite the fire of competition. I actually remember reading a study that women are biologically, patently more aggressive than men. So, I mean, not aggressive, more competitive than men. As far as like, as far as like strategies go, they're a little more shrewd. They're a little more quick to act. They're a little more, decisive as far as like, wipe out the competition as hard as possible. And that seems to have been the Sailor Scout strategy, was just demoralize them so hard as you possibly can with that Hecarim. And so maybe Cisco has the same potential opportunity there to just go, hey, we're just going to wipe you out as quickly as we possibly can, as hard as we can. We're going to come back and we're going to make it happen. Because that seems to be the theme so far. It's what you can hope for, but you never know. That quick, decisive action.
And of all the bottom lanes, if I'm not mistaken, these notes are very, very, very minimal.
I appreciate that you took notes.
Right? Yeah, I tend to do that. The Ezreal and the Nautilus in that bottom lane were one of the hardest hitters in terms of the bottom lanes we've seen so far. So looking forward to that as well. Sorry, we're only talking about one team. We haven't had exposure to the other one, unfortunately, here. But this is the opportunity that we get, is this game against Cisco here to find out if they are capable of fighting in more lanes, and if we're going to see maybe for the first time this mid lane or bottom lane take off first before either the jungle or the top lane start to begin hitting heavy and really getting some kill builds. And that early pressure, I believe we've seen most of these first towers taken have been towards the top lane, or maybe a move away from a mid lane towards that push. But to be able to see an ADC/support or a mid laner actually getting a little bit more momentum before one of these jungles or top laners would be exciting to see as well. A little bit of change in the game style that we've had so far.
I've said this in the past, ADCs used to be like the bros of League, the quarterbacks, the beefy boys, and it seems like especially just the meta in general has changed from ADCs being the star players that would carry games, attack damage carry, I think is the term. And a lot of them just turn into glass cannons that are extremely reliant on the rest of their team. Instead of being true carries anymore, carries are coming from top lane, they're coming from jungle, and that has never been more apparent than it has in these games that we've watched. But, I would like to see that. I mean, nothing's more thrilling. I think most of us, if we've been playing for a few years, I got my first pentakill on Vayne. I mean, those ADCs are classic, and we expect to see more action, even though the last 2 seasons have been very tank focused or very top and jungle focused. I would like to see it. I would like to see a little more action, because these ADCs and these, it may not be in their best favor, but these ADCs and these supports have been so patient, and they have really trusted all these other lanes to come ahead, because, you know, I don't think that they had any, it wasn't until level 7 in the last game that any action happened at all in bot lane, when Goldflower decided to murder everybody.
Right. Yeah, move in and really not even give any of those kills up. I think Steal, you know, and the triple that happened down bot on that push behind the tower. Yeah, he just cleaned up all those kills. He's like, hey, you know what? If I'm going to be fed, I might as well be as fed as possible. I am a horse. I do need to eat a lot. And he got his fill for sure in She got her fill for sure in that last game there. So hopefully something a little bit different, as there was not a ton of survivability in terms of the team that Cisco had played last time. Again, this new opponent we really don't know anything about. It may actually be a similar team that we don't know. The name has changed. I'm not sure if you have the, I didn't have the roster set up here in front of me. They are doing currently, I believe they're running pro draft at the moment though. So, once we jump in, we should be able to see a draft that's pretty linear across the board in terms of lanes and positioning and things like that. But
very cool.
Cisco getting shut down pretty quickly last week. They have a lot to prove as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, I can't help but reminisce on the days when junglers gave kills to ADCs, when they were like, hey, I made this for you. I'm going to go back into the jungle, but you can have this kill. Like, you can have this. Like, that's just not what's happening right now. So, I mean, Cisco may, you know what? I think that Cisco's probably going to come back with a fury here. It seems so far that the thing that happens is that somebody loses and they make a big comeback. So I'm hoping that Cisco, as the captain, did a little bit of research, has a fair idea of what these other teams look like and their players. They did have rosters in advance from Challenger mode, so I mean, they could look into these other teams as well, make sure that they got an idea of what they're playing against. So, I mean, they didn't know who they were playing against exactly, but at least you have an idea of which players individually are going to be on which teams, so you can kind of get an idea. Hopefully you took notes about which picks and bans per player you want to have. And I think that, you know, Cisco, having played in this tournament once already, knows that that's essential now at this level in the tournament.
Yes, and yeah, sorry, we keep calling your team Cisco. That's we'll adjust that. I know that's mostly my fault. But your Nightmares, I'm looking at. I love they've got a little heart icon as well. That's part of their team name, so it's your Nightmares with a heart. None of the names I recognize from last week, so it could be either a team that got knocked out before we got to the quarterfinals, as that's when we do start casting, is the one game of quarterfinals, then we move on to 2 for semis and then the 1 for finals, or it might just be a new team that didn't sign up last week and has come to take their claim and take their stake from this series here. So very exciting to see some new names hopping up there. And then Ara. I think just based on the capitalization of these letters, yes, it was definitely here last week with, it looks like, the exact same lineup. So maybe a little bit more promising of game from these guys as well. Cisco being the captain, then we got Solaris as the captain there on your Nightmares. Always exciting to see new teams, and then we'll also keep you guys updated after this game goes through on that bracket to see how the Solar Scouts ended up doing on their semifinals game, and if we're going to see one of these teams go up against them, or if we're going to see them go up against their opponent, who is another new team that we don't recognize from last week's broadcast.
Yep, let's go into Champ Select now. It looks like we've got that ready.
Yeah. This is my favorite part.
Kick it off, Jolly.
Aside from the game, you know. Your Nightmares is going to be on the blue side. And actually, I do want to point out really quickly, that was the first game so far in this series of an upset from a red side winning. Last week, it was all blue side teams that won those games. So we did see our first red side win. It is not impossible, guys. Your Nightmares, though, are going to be running Sign Me Up on the top side. Alpha Male Jungle, where I'm still going to call you She, in the jungle. Solaris Revenge in the mid lane. I believe that is the captain of the team. AME or Amy on ADC, and then Clorox on the rock in that support lane.
Clorox on the rock. You've got Aurora here with Cisco 2145, Nikki 422 in the jungle. You got, oh geez, Rick in mid. You got Humanoid Pumpkin on ADC and Joystick Rampage. The name that I recognize other than Cisco, 2145 on support here. And we've got some bans already coming through. We've got the Pyke and the Diana ban. I too am afraid of Pyke and Diana.
And it does look like that Ezreal that I mentioned that was played by now Ara here from last week has been banned out. So they are aware that that was a worthy contender and worthy of being banned. And on the red side, Ara has banned out the Jarvan, the Fiora, and they're going to finish up that first round with the Ziggs.
Ah, the old Ziggs there. I mean, nobody wants to play against Jarvan. He is the king of the entire map. So, I mean, not just in the lore, but in general, not fun. Fiora is a pretty heavy carry that I have seen in the last few weeks, especially in pro play, actually get some serious. Hey, we've got the Lulu again there on Little Nightmares.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about that. You know, I've seen a lot more Lulu, but again, I mentioned the utility that she offers is great and pretty consistent. Oh my god, I do love the Xayah Rakan, but she tends to fall off a little bit hard. And now with that contending bottom lane that I mentioned, of all the bottom lanes we've seen, this is the team from last week that really showed up as opposed to the top of the jungle, and they have picked up that lovers duo with the Xayah and the Rakan, just incredible together. And both very, very hard hitters, whether they're together or separate individuals in the laning phase. So that can offer a lot towards the late game as well.
Yeah, the Vi jungle, we haven't seen that yet, I don't think, not that I remember. But you hate to see it because she's got a lot of control, and we're looking at more tankiness here, which is nice to see, especially because we've got hyper-aggressive jungles so far. I really like the Kai'Sa pick in response to Xayah and Rakan, but I don't know if Lulu utility is enough to carry them through the synergy, if you want a buzzword for that, between Xayah and Rakan. So we'll just have to see. I think we can expect maybe a little more excitement, especially because Xayah does tend to be a little more on the aggressive side.
Yes, she does, and a lot of CC as well offered from that combo, from the Xayah and the Rakan, both of them really offering their own forms. Rakan really solid when he gets past level 6 in terms of getting those engages, the ability to not only W in and get the pop-up either before or after you run that ultimate, but also the ability to dash in and out using the shield, his E ability. I don't know the names, but hey, I know the letters. Using that E ability. And then really just helping out and pulling aggression away from the Xayah, because Rakan is so in your face. He is such a heavy aggro target. You just want to take him down when you see him hop in there. And now with Sejuani to offer up even more CC and more utility for the side of Ara. We'll see exactly what your Nightmares decides to do in response to that. They do have first pick.
Yeah, we do like to see a Sejuani, some really good CC there. Lots of good opportunities on Ara's side for very, very solid control. And so let's see how your Nightmares decides that they want to deal with this kind of CC. I mean, if we get another CC pick here on Ara's side, they're going to be in some really sticky stun lock potential. Ooh, we love to see in Aurelia. We do really like to see that stability and that, you know, vague bruiser stuff. I haven't seen a lot of very serious bruisers on this map, so this is really a nice, refreshing pick.
And the Mordekaiser is going to be the response there. I mentioned that Mordekaiser had a tough time. That was Cisco last week, but that was going into the Sailor Scouts Prothean, who was on Volibear, which we even learned later in the day, hey, you know what? You ban the Volibear away from this guy, otherwise you're going to be killed by it. So hopefully Cisco can run that Mort a little more successfully. And a scaler for sure. We have the Cassiopeia as the final pickup. So a lot of champs that we have not seen yet before here. It looks like the Zyra is going to be a response, as that is a direct immediate response, looking for Joystick Rampage there, being able to select for OGs, knowing that Solari's Revenge is going to be running that cast.
Yeah, oh man, I can't believe Rakan mid. Just kidding, that's a joke. Xayah mid, I haven't seen that pick for a while. I have seen very high Xayah bans, or sorry, Zarya bans, my bad. Just because she's really frustrating to play against. All of those binds, it looks like we're still sticking with a really solid CC comp. They're very sticky, Ara on that side. I don't look forward to playing against that team because I think you and I can agree Rakan is annoying. He is extremely annoying to play against. And then you add in Sejuani there, plus the plants. I mean, it's just going to be kind of nasty on their side. High utility, lots of stun lock, not fun to play against, but also we have a competent team here facing them. Cassiopeia's high burst, very scary. I have a lot of difficulty personally playing against Cassiopeia, so you love to see it.
Yeah, and she is a high scaling champion. They have a lot of burst in general on your Nightmare, so there's a considerable amount of survivability on Ara right now. So if they can make their way through that early burst damage coming from these guys, I mean, that burst is going to stay consistent throughout the entire game, and they do have quite a few knockups and disruptions there at least. Plus, now I'm liking that Lulu pick even more with the selections that they have going in with the Vi, with the Aurelia. Very heavy engagers, very heavy going directly into the center of a team fight. And then on the other side, I want to see this Mord pop off on Cisco. We saw it did not get even the chance to get his feet off the ground in that last game last week against the Volibear for Prothean. So seeing this selected and locked in twice in a row after, how tough it was for Cisco last week is very promising.
Yeah, I expect Cisco to pop off. It's kind of a redemption arc. I mean, absolutely got destroyed by Volibear in that game, but I mean, if they have faith in this pick and picking it a second time, I expect to see something pop off here. It looks like, as far as win conditions go, Ara is making some very heavy bets on Xayah or Mordekaiser, and I don't expect to see another jungle-centric game. That's not to say that anybody can carry a game given the right champ, given the right conditions that they set themselves up for. But I mean, it looks like there is a lot of dependence on either Cisco's Mordekaiser or Xayah here, Humanoid Pumpkin, for their win condition.
And a bit more early aggression as well coming from your Nightmares, I can imagine here, just based on the composition that we've got. That Aurelia into the Mordekaiser and the Vi as well. Sejuani having a much slower start time to be able to really invade properly, and having the movement speed to make a sneaky invade. As we all know, Sejuani is not very sneaky at the very start of the game. That Vi, however, can be very, very sneaky, having Q the ability to hop over several walls early on, getting some quick and early engages, and that might be where we're seeing more focus now towards the bottom of the map that we haven't really been seeing as much in the previous games, having that early aggression on the blue side here.
Yeah, having the potential to carry. Cassie definitely does on the blue side have a higher potential, especially to pop off and make sure that she zones that Zarya. Oh my gosh, I'm having such a difficult time with the Z names right now. Zyra, Plant Lady, Poison Ivy, whatever her name is. Zyra, wow, definitely has the potential to zone her out of that. Cassie has a really nasty late game, so that's something to be a little concerned about, especially because Zyra's ability to carry even in the best players' hands, that's why she's often relegated to being a support rather than a mid. But like I said, it's anybody's game. In the right hands of the right player, you can make a serious difference. But Cassie definitely has the raw power to bully her out of lane, so I'm really excited to see how this pops off. But you're right, blue side definitely has a little more aggression to start, a little more potential, maybe an invade. What do you think?
Oh yeah, I'm so ready for that. So far, actually, for the most part, we've seen invades coming from the red side, which is relatively standard as well, though the blue side does manage to get towards that contentious bottom river side a little bit earlier on. Red side has had a little bit more spite in terms of heading that direction and trying to focus out, and we even saw that last game, the red side coming down, picking up first blood. But again, I'll point out that was the first red victory that we've seen across the board. So whether or not that invade actually makes a huge difference depends on what you pick up with it and what you end up expending as well. Because if you end up using all your summoner spells, or your team uses the summoner spells, and you get first blood, but it was just one champion and it was the support or someone who's really not that big on not being able to recover something like that, then really it's a toss up on who makes more out of those fights. But
yeah,
I'm always for
don't like. Oh yeah, absolutely. I personally don't like getting first blood because I think it makes my team kind of cocky. You know, like you feel like you're like, all right, we got first blood. I mean, we don't have to try anymore. I guess the game's over. And it usually goes downhill from there.
You just automatically
so-
GG easy. You're like, I'm out.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I win.
Like, we win. We've tilted
See
the
ya.
other team into oblivion. It's 3.5 minutes into the game. We win. So you know, it's just a matter of kind of. I don't like to spoil my team. I want them to stay on the up and up. I want them to use that rage from first blood to catapult into victory. So we'll see what happens here. I'm
So
really
maybe one of you
excited.
guys should just give up first blood, is what Kari is
Yeah,
saying, you know,
that's-
and that
that's
means
what I-
you'll get a kick in the pants to be like,
It's
hey,
the
we
strat.
lost first blood. We need to win this fight. We'll see what really
Listen.
happens. You know, getting into, and I feel like there's a lot more of these invates and things like that before we're getting to like the semifinals, the quarterfinals, even in that these teams know these are games best of one. They're not best of threes like a lot of tournaments go for, but because there's so many teams involved, just single best of ones, and then those teams can obviously re-sign up for the following week. So I feel like a little bit more hesitation is not necessarily a bad thing to start these games. And we saw a much slower start from that last game, but then we also saw how quickly it snowballed. So it really depends on your opponent, what your composition is, and how well you kind of take advantage of what you have collected in those 5 players that you've selected, or 5 champions rather, and really push the boundaries where you are capable of doing that, because for all you know, trying to push that as hard as possible at the start could lead to your demise later on in the game if the other team can respond to it well enough.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, we've seen a lot of really even-tempered. You and I both joked, you know, it's going to be chaos. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be, you know, the Bronze 2 ARAM. And it did not turn out. We saw, because, you know, early games in tournaments, the ELOs are really mismatched. And, you know, our tournament runners do the best they can to do as much even matching as they possibly can. But there's only so much based on team comp. So it's really interesting to me that we're not seeing that much chaos. We're really seeing some even games where people, you know, like you said, best out of one, can't take a lot of risks. Winner takes all the points right now. And so it's really important to exercise a little self-control, have some really good strategies. And for that reason, we haven't really seen any action bot because everybody's behaving themselves.
Yeah, and you know, that is a big part of it, and also just the jungle presence is so insane elsewhere. It's crazy because yes, we see, you know, top lane being focused a lot in current, definitely not wearing sweatpants. The top lane
gym shorts with this professional attire, absolutely not.
Right, that's so professional is what we got going on right here. But oh my gosh, the top lane being normally the focus there. I'm actually really intrigued at the fact that we have not seen heavy focus towards that bottom lane at all across all the games we casted. I think it was 4 games last week. Now we're on to our second one so far today. And it's been, and I hate using the word anticlimactic because it kind of feels like, you know, oh, the players aren't you know, getting us to a very exciting point in the game here. That's not the case. It's just so much pressure from the jungle in the other lanes that there just hasn't been that much excitement for those players down at the bottom.
Yeah, and the win conditions have not really depended. The whole game has depended on the ADC, like so many team comps are built around. You've had a lot of strong junglers, a lot of carries that aren't just in the bot lane. But I think we'll see something really exciting. We have so much carry potential here. Very
look at this
thirsty,
sneaky
very fun.
Cassiopeia, though. Look at, she's just sitting here. There's waiting to see if Nikki will pop her head into that bush.
Listen, snakes and tall grass. I don't know, there's some saying there, but she is so scary. She is close in proximity to Nikki, and I don't think Nikki knows what kind of trouble she's in.
Oh, there you go. No, just a little bit of poking. You know what? Might as well. Why not? It was a Sejuani, so it's not going to affect them that much, and it was early enough on that if they really wanted to, they could recall, though it would push back that jungle presence a little bit. This Cassiopeia does not care. I love it. Oh my god, I love it so much. She's going to head in and poke some more. Not even put pressure in this jungle here. Alpha male jungler's like, yeah, go for it, guys. I don't care. I'm starting bottom lane. We're good. We're both starting red here. And that pulled away quite a bit, actually, from the leash there. She's going to stick around.
Yeah, keep in mind, Solaris and your Nightmares is the captain of the team, so, I mean, throwing your weight around like that to be like, hey, team, let's not be afraid of these suckers, is definitely a good example. That's a leader I'd follow into the darkness, whether you win or lose. You love to see that kind of behavior from your team leader. It shows a lot of confidence. It shows a lot of control. hiding in that bush to start was a fun strategic move too. This is somebody who definitely knows how to play this game around other players.
But still a risky situation. That was a very far back bush to be placed. If 5 members decided to move together down towards the top riverside through that would have been a done snake. I mean, there's no way, you know, you likely would have had to use, she's got Flash and Cleanse there, hopefully not having to use both of those, but was in a situation where Nikki just ended up kind of standing right next to the bush. They were doing a little, well, not so much a stare down from the side of Nikki there. Thank gosh, otherwise you would be stoned. But Solari's Revenge, being able to get a little bit of poke, and then just that little bit of presumptuous play as well, saying, hey, I'm here, I'm going to continue to do this, and you're not going to get away from me.
Yeah, some good trades here too, going up on mid, taking the pressure off, letting Solaris do their thing. There's definitely you know, it's pretty hard to tell from the beginning, but the farm disparity here between Xayah and Kai'Sa, it's definitely notable, being able to bully them that early on the game.
Oh my goodness.
Oof,
that looks like
hit.
single-digit health, though, on that Xayah, who had flashed out earlier on. Solari's Revenge doesn't have, I mentioned, has Cleanse, doesn't have Ignite or anything like that. There are no Ignites actually on the side of your Nightmares. There are 2 there on Ara, but so close in either side. They're a good stun down now and a flash out from Cisco, and that means Sign Me Up is going to engage under tower and get almost as low as that lane opponent there. So 2 flashes out in the top lane, and now we're getting some pings from this Vi. Hey, I am making my way up. You have put a lot of pressure on here. Prevent that recall. It does not appear that that's going to be the case, though, so Vi has to move back down.
Yep,
and in the meantime, Joystick Rampage gets the root. What a solid flash out from Clorox on the rocks to avoid getting pulled by that recall. Amy is doing her best to try to get as much damage out, and that's a couple flashes and a heal now coming out from Humanoid Pumpkin. Well, 1 flash and a heal. The Ignite did come out from Joystick Rampage as well to Clorox on the rocks, so not that it was wasted, but Clorox on the rocks being able to instantly flash away from that engage from the Xayah meant that she survived much longer than she could have.
The pressure being put on by Nightmares in the other 2 lanes is immense, but it looks like this Xayah came here not to make friends, but to make some kills. So it's nice to see these different aggression levels in these different lanes. Cisco with the Mordekaiser, though, definitely had a rough lane with that Volibear to start. Seems to be having the same kind of struggle against this Aurelia, but it's too soon to tell. Mordekaiser doesn't hit his stride for a little bit here, so we've just got to kind of sit and wait.
Ooh, Alpha Male Jungler, though, making his way into the mid lane. An Ignite going down onto Solari's Revenge from OGs. OGs is going to be the first one to go down here in this fight. Sign Me Up, getting the kill on that one. And Alpha Male Jungler, while making a great presence in the mid lane, ends up getting taken down by Nikki here. 2 flashes come out from either of these opponents here. Nikki now facing 2 enemies, and he is going to go down to the poison there from Solari's Revenge. A great back and forth by these 2 teams.
Yeah, love to see the map awareness. Really great on Clorox on the rocks. That's a true support. You're not just supporting one person, you're supporting your whole team. Keeping an eye out there to make sure that Nikki could not take further advantage of that. It also appears that they are playing around Solaris on the rocks, or Solari's Revenge, just because it's very clear this is the team captain. The other team seems to be aware that this champ's ELO might be a little bit higher than their teammates, and it's something to watch out for, especially the aggression early on in mid. Let's watch a replay there of top lane that we missed. Now, oh, yeah, you go in there with that Aurelia. Oh, it's a standoff.
Walked back into the tower there. Was definitely out of range on that one. The ultimate actually coming up from Sign Me Up. Instant lead it going again on Cisco. And Cisco once more, as we saw last week, is having such a tough time in this top lane. Being counterpicked, I believe, both times. And picking Mord as an available champion to be counterpicked is a really risky strategy.
Super risky, hard to watch those kills back to back. Cisco did have a struggle last time, and you hate to see it happen again to them. Like we said, we love those underdogs, so maybe Cisco will, you know, have a little more caution here with this Aurelia. You can wait until they can have their jungler come in and help take the pressure off with that counter pick.
Sitting at 2-1-0 is a pretty good feeling now, though Cisco is not feeling horrible. 1-2-0 did pick up one of those early kills. That first dragon did end up going over to your Nightmares, as usual. That's what happens to me every time. Air Drake was that first pickup there, and we were getting close to 7 minutes, and already quite a large disparity in that gold differential. 2K is quite big at under just barely over 7 minutes.
Yeah, it seems like we had a really, really strong map presence from Ara there, but they're letting it go just a little bit. I'm not going to say, again, good gold disparity, but nothing that they can't make up for. And you've got, you know, I feel like, there's just, maybe this is just an instinct here, but I think Cisco's going to warm up here on a Mordekaiser.
Alpha male jungler, in the meantime, is deciding he wants to invade. There's the ultimate coming down to the pushback towards the support and the ADC over there. Joystick Rampage, again, no ignite on the side there from your Nightmares, so no final damage to be taken, and that means the Joystick Rampage is going to make it out alive. And OGs goes down once again to the poison. A great push by Solari's Revenge and a good response there.
Oh, geez, Jolly, that was hard to watch. That was rough. You really hate that delayed kill with the poison on Cassiopeia. That's kind of what makes her a sort of mental destroyer, a tilt machine. You think you've made it out. Very Teemo-esque in that regard. Difficult because you're walking and you think you made it and then you die anyway. It's super rough, but definitely part of the whole Cassie package.
Yes. It is unfortunate too having 2 summoner spells and going with the ignite on that one just to get the secure, but can't flash away from poison once you're already poisoned, so walking away with 2 means yes, you can start the next engage, but also acknowledging there's really nothing you can do and you have 2 abilities there that just kind of sat. Now Cisco is doing his best to at least push this lane, and that is definitely something that he has in response to Sign Me Up on this Aurelia. They both have very solid clear at this point in the game, so a heavy push back and forth means we may see more jungle presence, or it may just end up being an island lane like we're used to seeing in the past couple of seasons. That ward definitely spotted out the Sejuani here, who ends up throwing the ultimate and misses, but Clorox on the Rocks does get slowed and is now on the other side. Flashes away the ultimate from the Xayah, and the recall is going to root Clorox on the Rocks, and down goes the Lulu. Kai'Sa doing everything in her power to prevent that one from securing the kill, and a really fancy flash from Clorox, but just not enough to save her life.
Yeah, sometimes you see those junglers go down bot lane this early on, and sometimes it becomes easy to pick them off in response to having your support taken from you, but that was not the case at all here. Nikki is really on top of their game, trying to take advantage of any sort of opening that they can get, picking off that Lulu, a nice, easy little kill to feed. It looks like that kill did go to Rakan.
Oh my, and already the ultimate comes back. Oh no, this poor mid laner, this poor Xayah, poor thing. She used her flash in that fight, was not enough there. Alpha male jungler really showing that she is an alpha male jungler.
Yeah, it looks like we got some action in top lane too. Poor Cisco, oh gosh, going in for the dash kill there. A little bit of a rough one. Aurelia is really good at that in and out. Dashing in, dashing out, taking the kill, and calling it even. Cisco, again, having a bit of a rough lane up here, but definitely had some deep vision in there, saving him from getting
oh my, now a flash in as Cisco tries to respond a little bit. Lucky for him, Nikki was right there in the wings. We can see the movement down as the Vi sat in the bush towards the bottom there and was notifying Ara of her appearance. She did throw down a vision ward and was able to clean that up, but was aware that they had vision on that. And now the first tower of the game is going to go down here to the Nightmare. Sign Me Up getting incredibly low though, and Nikki looks like he might be able to pick up that elimination. No, Cisco takes that one down. Now Alpha male jungler is just trying to escape, and in the wings Solari's Revenge appears, so the ultimate comes out, and down goes Cisco. In the meantime, Nikki has to flash away, gets poisoned here by Solari's Revenge. She knows she's got the double kill.
No recourse there at all, especially if one of you gets turned to stone and the other one gets slowed. You definitely put one later for a snack, and unfortunately Nikki was that delayed snack. Got hunted down indiscriminately and taken out. Not sure if it's worth it. It maybe is. We really thought they had that one, but they did not.
Oh, they are going so hard now. It looks like a good pop up there onto Amy means they're not going to be able to follow it up further. Sign Me Up, though, has the ultimate down and is going to take down one member. Now both members here gets rooted under tower and is able to use that survivability to fight out. Nikki knows that neither of them will survive under the tower here. No, she's going to go in for the other elimination. Does not get the pick up, though. Nikki escapes with a sliver of help, and Cisco picks up one for himself. A little too hard there, maybe from Sign Me Up. Only third death of the game, though, and still a bounty remaining on the head. In the meantime, your Nightmares are picking up that dragon.
Hey, listen, if you've got that big of a distraction, you've got to take those objectives now. They are just putting salt in the wound, making sure they're creating those openings. The distraction that came from the Aurelia there in their base, though, listen, when I get a Lulu ult, I will do whatever I want. I am the king/queen of that map. I don't blame them for heading that far in, especially because it creates a really good distraction for the rest of your team, even if you do perish, to take those objectives, in this case, a Mountain Drake.
Into 3 towers, of course, and another ultimate now onto OGs, and OGs is right. Poor thing is not able to do anything. Solari's Revenge is going to pick up that elimination. Just a quick little bit of poke. Here's a little bit of poison for you. Nothing you can do about it because my Vi engaged hard on you. Now, Nikki trying to push these guys away. There is still just over 1 minute left on plates being available here, so they're going to try to pick up as much gold as possible. Only 1 tower has gone down, though, here. That was 3 towers that Aurelia went past earlier on. This bottom lane going to try to do something to respond to that, but the ultimate coming out from from Solaris means that she's going to pick up an elimination, and then the remainder of the team coming to follow it up means that the Sejuani ultimate did not do enough. Sejuani is going to be able to escape from this one as Solari's Revenge got poked down quite a bit at the beginning of that engage. And now still, Nikki just trying to keep this lane from being taken completely.
It feels as though the rest of the team here is just supporting Solari's Revenge. They follow their lead, they make sure that they're there when they need to be. The control demonstrated by Solaris from the very beginning of this game is definitely paying off, and it is a continuing theme here. Just a lot of control, very calm, making sure that they know that their team will back them up. What looked like a 1v3 ended up with the cavalry coming in and cleaning up the rest of it, with Nikki once again starting as she finished alone in mid.
Some really solid responses too, and you can tell that that is due to some really good communication coming from the side of your Nightmares. And now, Sign Me Up has decided to clean up the jungle here on their side. Gonna take a little bit of their own for the first time in a while after clearing up quite a bit of the enemy's jungle there. And now the Aurelia comes in from the opposing side. The ultimate coming out from Zyra does absolutely nothing as she goes down before it even pops up. And Sign Me Up is only gonna take 1 tower shot during that engage. That mid tower still alive and still standing, but who knows how much longer with these heavy engages. Now Alpha Male Jungler, oh my goodness, gonna try to do another behind the tower engage, and it was a great sweeper before those 2 other members of the team decided to follow it up, so they have the potential for these 3 members to follow it up while the Kai'Sa pushes from the front end.
Yeah, they're just waiting for that wave to make their move so that Kai'Sa can come in and make a little bit of a difference here. But these are tower divers. They probably don't need that extra damage, but it never hurts because that Aurelia is just getting away with a little bit of health, but it's not that bad. She has that Lulu ult. She went in, she came out, she's got exactly what she wanted. It's a little bit demoralizing. Oh!
Solari's Revenge gets pinned in between 3 members. There's several ultimates coming out to take her down, but she manages to flash out of that one while Alpha Male Jungler re-engages from the back line and gets a double kill pickup on that. Oh geez, just repeating her name over and over again as they continue to get engaged on behind towers. And finally that first tower ends up going down. Now that the plates have gone down as well, they're going to be able to push these towers down much quicker. They also have that Mountain Dragon to assist with that.
Yep, the support Kai'Sa supporting the Cassiopeia here. Everybody is peeling for Solari's Revenge, just making sure that they are keeping their carry out and alive here. Let's watch a replay of that. Looks like we've got the board come in, really think they have Solaris, but they don't. Coming in here with the Aurelia on the back, her ult stopping them, peeling for Solari's Revenge as they clean up. Vi considers the chase, heads back, and they take out Mordekaiser. Poor Cisco. I genuinely really did their best to recover.
In the meantime, Sign Me Up once again, it appears, went in just a little too hard. Maybe behind 1 or 2 towers, maybe behind 2 towers is a little bit too hard at this point. Maybe they might be discovering that at this point. But Nikki, oh my gosh, is willing to take a few tower shots here. Only 1 actually with that extra movement speed that she gains, and able to push Nikki back, forcing a return to base there and a rebuild. And in the meantime, that mid tower is finally going to go down. That's going to be 4 towers in favor of your Nightmares and 0 for the side of Ara. They are really being pushed so hard right now.
Yeah, Sign Me Up seems to be signing up for every encounter to the end, whether they live or die. It's a fun, interesting thing to watch, especially because they are fulfilling their namesake. Sign them up for tower dives, sign them up for in-base conflicts, sign them up for anything. Looks like Nightmares are going for Shelly here just to secure another objective. They've had enough fun for now. They're trying to give themselves a bit of an edge and make sure that they're locking down those objectives, because yes, you do have fun fighting, you do have fun chasing them into their own base, tails behind their legs, but you do also need to lock down objectives because these games can turn very quickly. In the case of Ara, locking down this objective, or at least trying, but you do have Vi, Alpha Male Jungler.
The rest of the team making their way down. The blue team stealing the Ocean Drake there. Vi getting them pick up. Alpha Male Jungler is going to pick up another elimination there. The ultimate from the Sejuani coming down was able to stun lock the Aurelia after that engage, and the Xayah doing her darndest to get the recall to prevent herself from going down, but she did die. And in the meantime, Alpha Male Jungler, with all of that mobility, once again has found another move in. The smite on return from Nikki there means that the slow applies, and Alpha Male Jungler is not going to be able to go that far in, but does find the back line and is able to take down Cisco. Or we have a Joystick Rampage and Cisco going down there. And that is going to be an in-base tower, the first bottom inhib tower going down, as well as the inhibitor.
Yeah, it looks like Nikki really is making these narrow escapes, trying to maintain control without feeding, but it is extremely difficult when the aggression displayed by Nightmares is just overwhelming. They are pushing in for that Nexus turret there. That is a very aggressive strategy, but one that they can afford to do.
They absolutely can. The gold differential is massive at this point in the game. We are less than 20 minutes, and we are looking at almost 15,000 gold differential here for this team. 28-8 kills. The in and out, the aggression and the engage ability from the composition there on your Nightmares is exactly that. It is just an absolute nightmare. Now they're going to try to push as much as possible. They did take down as many objectives as they could. They are going to do a little bit more clearing here in the enemy jungle, maybe do one recall for a final push as they prepare for that Baron.
Yeah, they're using Shelly on mid to their very good split push, making sure that they're min-maxing these objectives here. They had that in the pocket. They're willing to spend it on the mid turret after taking the bot lane turret, the inhibitor, and one of the Nexus turrets as well. So to add insult to injury, they also have managed to take that turret there in mid, and they're just yakety saxing their way around their base here. Not a lot of coming in,
flash in an ultimate there.
Yeah,
flash in an ultimate there from the Rakan means that there's a good engage for them, but not quite enough. Double kill going over to Sign Me Up, and that ignite is healing the Aurelia, it appears. Nikki's gonna be the next one to go down. A quadra kill going over to Sign Me Up. Rakan being the only surviving member of that, dashing in and starting the engage, and then recognizing early on that it was not something they were going to be able to recover from. And this will be enough for them to push for the win if they decide they want to do it. Just over 20 minutes in this game.
I think this is the shortest game that we've seen so far. They are deciding to lock it down there. You've got Rakan doing a little jig. The dance of his people, trying to recover what pride you have left. That was
owie. That was a tough game. That was by far the shortest game that we've seen.
Yes.
And no fault of Ara. There was so much pressure behind towers and so much invasive pressure, and we probably could have assumed that just based on the cheeky little play that we got from the Cassiopeia early on in sitting in that bush and feeling confident that yes, more members of the enemy team can come down, but I feel confident enough to be able to escape this with my life or take something along with me if I do go down. And oh my goodness, the amount of damage that was being pumped out from Alpha Male Jungle, from Sign Me Up, from Solari's Revenge, really everybody there. And surprisingly enough, while it seemed like the bottom lane was going to get that early push that we were kind of looking forward to, it ended up being consistently towards the top half of that map once again.
So it goes, these games have been really exciting. And, we got a little more variation and excitement. That mid was extremely fun to watch. I love that Cassie carry. Always a dangerous thing as she starts to snowball, and it becomes almost impossible to kill her before she kills you. And even if you do kill her, you usually end up dying anyway at that point in the game. So it's a pretty rough thing to watch, but that Cassie definitely hinted us in there that they knew what they could get away with. And I really enjoy the strategic bets that were made, especially on the Aurelia side. Knowing when to die in this game with maximum benefits. For example, in the Aurelia...
Yeah, when she had to.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. getting that ult from Lulu and then running into base so that so their team could subsequently take Dragon with 0 contestation at all. It was honestly really interesting to watch. Very good. You got to know when to die if you have to lock down an early objective and get that early push.
And this is a team I would love to see go up against the Sailor Scouts if they did make it. I don't think we have the results yet for that game quite yet. It might still be going on, as that was a very quick game that we had on our end for this semifinal.
Yes.
Meaning we will likely have a second semifinal game before we hop into the finals there. But my goodness, your Nightmares really showing us a lot of prowess in terms of pressuring beyond the lanes, of all of the invasive movements that they had, and even with Ara throwing down vision, it was minimal vision. They maybe could have invested a little bit more in terms of that to try to prevent it. But once they get to a certain point with somebody like the Aurelia, with somebody like the Vi, who have so many ins and also the escapability to get out of something that they go in a little too heavy on, and then Solari's Revenge just throwing out poison and dealing damage on the back line, meant that there really wasn't anything RR could do. It's not as though they misplayed any of these things. It's not as though they came unprepared or anything like that. It was just so unexpected, the amount of pressure and the amount of backlining and the amount of, deep engages that we were seeing from your Nightmares, that's something I would have needed to fall too hard as well before going back and saying, all right, maybe this would have worked better, or maybe this in the future might be something that you can approach with. But having not seen this team before, that came from nowhere. I can't imagine that team was a part of this competition last week and we didn't even see them make it to the quarters. Because that was a spectacular presentation of, formidability from this team.
Yeah, and we do have 3 pending signups. So, we do have interest in these tournaments. We do have interest. Not everybody's going to make it. It's not necessarily the teams that are the best aren't making it in here. It's the ones that are, administratively prepared to be ready when the signups open, and to make sure that they make it to these games. And so seeing your Nightmares is, maybe they didn't make it last week. Maybe this is a new team. But either way, the aggressive strategies seem to be taking these wins. And the cool part about that, though, is the aggressive strategies, while not expected by other teams, does give them the room in the next week to prepare for those, because those are the ones that you can mitigate, as was seen by our last one with Sailor Scouts and Gay Mercenaries. That if you know what the play style is like, you can prepare for it and you can mitigate it. But Ara just could not have expected the sheer amount of pressure that came from your Nightmares. It truly was, it was a blur. It was a lot to watch.
It was the epitome of burst. And we talked about that while the competition was going on. They're very bursty. We can't let them get too far but there was not a moment where they weren't bursting someone down, whether it was, early on with the Aurelia facing off against that Mord and just going in for the solo kills under the tower. The amount of tower dive plays that we saw as well, where maybe one person did end up losing their life on the side of your Nightmares because another member from RR happened to step in and throw some CC down or something like that. Even with the amount of CC, because it's not as though RR didn't have any CC on their team. They tried to utilize it. They didn't have the time. They didn't have the chance with how bursty the opposing team was to get that locked down. So maybe some more AoE type, of course, Veigar is the one that pops to mind. I'm like, just cage everyone. That's just the solution to anything bursty. Just cage everything. Yeah, just make it so they can't move.
Yeah.
But even with the CC they had, it wasn't enough, and they weren't able to prepare it because it does take a little bit of time, both for the Xayah and the Rakan. You have that moment of the pop up, the pop over, and then the pop up that he has there on his W, and then Xayah having to set up those feathers to get the recall down to actually get that hard CC down. Zyra's ultimate, same thing. You have time on that you need to consider where you throw the ultimate down. The E, not so much. You've got the vines that go about, but it is easy to miss if you have highly mobile champions, which the opposing team did. So while it seemed like a really good composition, your Nightmares just worked that burst so hard, there really wasn't any response that RR had a choice to take.
Yeah, and you mentioned the mobility. You having to be being able to catch Aurelia, being able to catch Vi, being able even, Cassiopeia can't wear boots. She's a snake. She doesn't have feet. But still being able to catch Cassiopeia if she doesn't kill you first, like we've said before, really difficult to set up those. I mean, they had plenty of CC, but being able to set it up, you're right, Zyra, it takes a couple seconds. Grand Entrance takes a couple seconds. Those feathers, it takes a while. I mean, Xayah definitely had survivability on her side, but when you got champions that can dash out of your feather range, you can't set up the right kind of trap to even get those slows off. So it didn't lend to that at all. I think, in my opinion, as far as the key goes, as far as MVPs for that team, Aurelia definitely was the sleeper hit there. Just all of those dashes, peeling for Solaris Revenge was really key as well. So,
and the Vi early game as well led to a lot of the pressure that was able to run through. I know I need a pee break. I'm assuming you guys do too. Yeah. So we're going to take a couple minutes, show you a couple cool commercials, and then we'll be back in no time to run the second game of the semifinals.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenni lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope. Watch this.
Brake. Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you? You're right. Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. But we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
Oh, I got back just in time.
Ooh, I had my cat in my hands. I was like, "You're my co-caster now, kitty."
That was an absolutely insane game.
Oh, gosh.
And only game number 2. We have 2 more games to cast today. I'm not sure. Did we actually hear back on how the other games were going for? We'll see. They can hear me.
Yeah,
Versus
hey,
Sailor Scouts.
what's up?
Versus that other team. We'll find out exactly what happened and what the new bracket is going to be. And I'm sure that's something that we'll actually toss to so you guys can see that updated bracket here in just a moment. Hey, dude, these guys are the best. I love it. Sailor Scouts and Limit Testers, it looks like still might be going on. So your Nightmares is, oh my goodness, no. So we're just doing the 3 tonight. The finals game is going to be Your Nightmares versus either Limit Testers, who I do not believe we have seen, or Sailor Scouts, who we have seen plenty of here. All right, if you could give some advice to the opponents of Your Nightmares here, one piece, what would that be, Kari?
Jeez. Well, okay, so it looks like we are going to be watching Sailor Scouts versus Limit, which is good. But as far as one piece of advice, what? Am I giving advice to Your Nightmares since we know we're going into the finals? Is that what I'm...
No. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, because, I lied to you all. So with Sailor Scouts and Limit Testers, now I guess, okay, the one piece of advice would be to Limit Testers based on what we've seen from Sailor Scouts. I'll just tweak my question a little bit there.
Oh, gosh. Oh, man. Oh, jeez. This is putting me on the spot. Okay, listen. watch out for the jungler.
Right.
All I can say is, cheese, watch your jungle, watch your bushes, put in some freaking wards, make sure that you invest in warding. We have seen wards make a difference, honestly, in these games. Junglers have been the key to the castle almost every time. That Vi really did lay down the foundations in our last game between Ara and Your Nightmares. They won.
Yeah, you can't forget them.
Yeah, you can't forget that game. That was, holy crap. I'm so impressed, especially with that Aurelia. You love to see it, but now we're going into this game. Sailor Scouts, Limit Testers. I don't know what kind of advice, because Goldflower is a force. And I'm afraid for them. I'm afraid for Limit Testers.
Right. But we haven't seen them. So for all we know, we should be afraid for Sailor Scouts. These guys could potentially, there's a reason they're in the semifinals, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason they could potentially be going to face Your Nightmares, who are, they live true to their name. Absolutely. Based on the last game that we just saw. But yeah, as is pretty standard with these games so far, focusing on that jungle and that top lane is definitely good advice. We know we saw the Volibear, and towards the end of last week's games, we saw that Volibear begin to get banned out. I think it may have just been the finals game. But either way, we saw so many jungles coming out of Goldflower that at this point, I can't even give you advice on who to ban and who not to ban. At that point, just expect a lot of mobility, expect burst damage, expect heavy invades, and expect them to come for first blood on your side of the map.
Listen, if I don't see a Rammus out of Goldflower, I'm gonna lose my mind.
If she listens to you, I would be absolutely stoked. That is, of all the mobile jungles,
the most
that
mobile.
is aside from Hecarim and Rammus are known by far as the most mobile jungles, though it seems like Goldflower is also likes the slightly cheeky ones, the assassin style. Like, we had the Elise, who did incredibly well, Goldflower on that Elise early on in terms of last week's tournament. And so there's just so many opportunities for this team. A little bit more consistency, I would say, in the top lane. So maybe that's something to kind of look more to redirect. We haven't really seen. We've seen a lot of the heavy damage tank styles, bursty styles, but not so much in terms of like pure burst in that top lane. Even something like a Kennen might be able to shut this guy down. You never really know until we give it a try, and with only one game to test it on, it gets a little bit difficult, and you kind of rely on maybe other teams having played those guys as well to get some sort of footing for the upcoming matches.
Yeah, we've had these very serious bruiser tops as well. We haven't seen any of those fun alternate picks. Everybody's favorite champion, Teemo, in top. That doesn't seem to be much of a thing. Yeah, where's Ornn? That's your boy. If you want a really solid top lane, tried and true, I would love to see an Ornn in the top lane. That would be really cool. I think Kennen, too, is a great alternate pick against Prothean based on their play style. It seems like that might be a really solid controller. Plus, if you want to talk about CC, Kennen is a great advantage there. I'm really excited. We actually have the players ELO, or we have their ranks right now. So now we can kind of see across the board. Yeah, we can kind of see across the board what we're looking at. I don't want to spoil anything, though. I'm just saying we've got a really evenly matched game. I think that we're going to see something really close, especially because Limit Testers have proven that they've made it this far in the bracket, even though we haven't seen them play up until this point. We're looking at some very serious matchups here, and it's going to be really interesting. Prothean, for the most part, has been solid. Despite struggling in some lanes, it seems like Prothean's really still doing the best they can to be the star carry that they can be. We're going into Champ Select.
Yeah, you get to read the red side, because I don't like that top laner. Sailor Scouts on the blue side. We got Prothean at the top lane there, Goldflower in the jungle, Pan in the mid lane, Lilac Soul as the ADC, and Neki Lime in support.
All right, and then we got Limit Testers. I was trying this in my head. Dangoi Meow. Dangoi Meow. Dangoi Meow. Meow. We're just gonna call him Dang.
Mayu.
Dang. Is that an O? I don't know. We're gonna call him Dang. We got Dang in the top lane, Husky Templar in the jungle. We've got Dopamine, which I need some of in the mid lane there. Elise, very simple, very nice. Hopefully not actually Elise is an ADC. And then you got Pistachio there as a support. And we've got some bans already here. We've got that Graves ban. Nobody likes him. He's really difficult to counter when he gets going. Ahri ban is pretty good for an assassin, although I don't know if I agree with assassin bans because most of them do have fairly good counters as long as you're prepared to not let the Hecarim ban. Okay.
There it is. Hey, they've been paying attention, all right, and that is a very good thing. Seriously, that Hecarim was absurd. And when you've got that amount of movement speed on somebody with as much prowess as Goldflower in that jungle, just get rid of it.
Yeah,
not a bad call. Just yes, there are ways to counter it. Just get rid of it.
Yeah, I like the Vayne ban. It seems as though Elise might pose a bit of a threat on the ADC just based on ELOs, but you know, like I said, sometimes Diamond players play like they're in Iron, so whatever. It's not a huge deal what the matchup is, but at least definitely they're banning to that Vayne. Always a good one, especially because if she gets going, even 10 minutes into the game, you can see it ending before it's ever begun, so that's a solid ban. We've got the clash of the supports here. We've got a Nami, and again, Lulu has been in every single game so far. What do you think about that?
Yeah. You know, it didn't really work the first game. It worked the last game.
For Aurelia?
I don't want to say, and I don't want to say that it was because of the Lulu. You know, I'm still kind of sketchy. Oh, look at that. The Volibear being picked up by the limit testers there.
Rude, but understandable.
I'm not huge on the Lulu in terms of the laning phase. They tend to always falter. You know, there's not a ton that you can do. You know, she's got great utility. I've said that like 3 times already, but it really doesn't kick into much effect until you're getting later on in the team fights in terms of like the ultimate. You know, you're not planning on your ADC being next to 3 guys, so using that growth on somebody like that in lane is pretty tough. We do have an Ezreal lock in there, though, and on the other side, I do love the Ashe Nami. We've seen that matchup a couple of times already, once today on Sailor Scouts there, so they ran it very successfully in that first game. And the Kayn, oh my, okay, so if there's another one that, you know, you don't want to play against aside from the Hecarim there, it is the Kayn. The last week, we saw Goldflower run this, and it was absolutely insane. And hey, they don't want us to see the Ornn. I guess they don't like it.
Rude but understandable. If I see a Rammus ban, I am going to feel personally attacked, so I hope that doesn't happen. Wouldn't be great to have a caster again. I'm just kidding. We're unbiased, right, Jolly? We're completely unbiased.
Oh, yeah. Though I admit I do occasionally root for the underdog here. You know, it's just nice to see a point spread that is distributed evenly through some top teams. You know, you always hate seeing #1 team tons of points ahead of somebody else and then so many ties for second and third. But it is good to see some formidability as well in a team that might actually lead to a little bit of extra aggression from their opponents that might not necessarily play that way.
Yeah, Lilac Soul has a very good Ashe, too, if we want to talk about that. Always on point, always where they should be. Maybe not, you know, the star VIP player, but a very good just a very good teammate. You know, they are where they're supposed to be. They always have that arrow ready when they need it. So absolutely, like, you know, not a show-offy person, not a show-offy player, but somebody who is reliable with a good performance every single game. And also, I think that we haven't given Lilac Soul enough praise for their ability to be patient. They always wait it out. They never make crazy plays. They are always positioned in ways that aid to their team, and they are never the one to feed. They are always very patient, very, very well positioned. So I'm really happy to see that Ashe again, just because that has aided them very well so far. The Sailor Scouts have really put Lilac Soul in that role, and they have never failed to deliver.
That is definitely something that can be acknowledged here. And, you know, I even just talked about the formidability of this combination of the Ashe and the Nami, and part of the reason behind that is because Sailor Scouts have done so well on it. Hey, we're going to see something new here. Ooh, I'm liking this from Prothean, the Shen, a little bit less in terms of, you know, heavy aggression, more reliant on later game utility and helping out the team and whatnot, but a Syndra up against the mid lane Orianna there. might be a little risky. I also like Husky Templar now with this Jarvan. That is a nice, heavily aggressive. You can engage very early with him. You can wait and hold it out a little bit. It's really up to you in terms of the J4. But a good one to bring in for this team composition as well, and a little bit more survivability on limit testers than we've seen in some of these other teams that have gone against Sailor Scouts. Though, I mean, not just as much, but close to as much on the side of Sailor Scouts.
You know what this is? I have a sneaking suspicion this is the Peel for Ezreal comp. Every single champ surrounding this Ezreal has the ability to pull champs off for him, and we'll see if Elise can live up to the responsibility that seems to be placed on them, because otherwise, not a lot of carry potential. It can happen. I've seen some very mean Oriannas. I love this mid lane. I am going to thusly dub this the ball pit. Because it's perfect. We've got, we got the ball pit going on here in mid lane. I think that will be a lot of fun to watch. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy VII, and Syndra's just a female Sephiroth, and she's so moody. Solid, though, with the range. And I also love how strategic you can be with Syndra. I remember the first time I ever got my butt kicked in this game was against a Syndra. I was like, who even is this? I've never seen this champ before. I don't even know who this is. This can't be good. And I just got absolutely wrecked. And it seems like Syndra players who do pick her up love her deeply and do a very good job. And Pan so far has proven to be kind of a snipey assassin. So if you combine that kind of play style with Syndra, if you are good and if you are competent, you can really make something happen here. But Orianna does have the safety, the range, the getaway, the shield, the speed boost to not actually succumb to that if they don't want to. So we have a lot of
delivery
really
system on the Jarvan as well. You've got a ball, flag, and drag Cataclysm, and that could be a Dunzo. Multiple members of the Sailor Scouts, if you're able to get him in and get an ultimate off to pull them back in, even into a Cataclysm, as that is, a potential there. If he throws it down and members are just on the outside, but they get pulled in from that Orianna ball.
Nasty.
The Kayn, though, we got to factor in this nasty, nasty Kayn. And Prothean we can never disregard, even though we have not seen him on this Shen yet so far. He has done an incredible job on everyone he's pulled out, and now he's actually going up against this Volibear that he was so prodigious on before, and so it's going to be an interesting matchup to see what he does here. He did pick into the Volibear, so he knew full well what he was going up against, so there is a bit of a flex there, with the Volley also potentially going into the jungle. We've seen him much more consistently since his rework up in the top lane. I'm stoked on this mid lane though, and I'm hoping we saw last game it was a little bit stagnant in the mid lane. Actually, the first two games a little bit stagnant in that mid lane to start until the Cassiopeia really got her feel for things, and there was a lot more pressure in the other lanes to where they weren't really expecting much presence from the jungles. This, though, we can expect an early invade because they're going to want to pressure either of these guys hard early on. Whoever gets that early pressure means that they're going to continue in that lane, and that's going to force one of these other mid laners to roam early on or to get extra support early on, which is just going to pull from another lane as well.
That is the truth. Yeah, you're right about that. I'd love to see mid tower go down first to give either of these powerhouses the ability to do some serious roaming. But again, they both also have the potential to push really hard, just depending on the skill gap there. I'm really excited to see, listen, that Jarvan flag and drag has the potential to really shut down Goldflower and control that Kayn. And Kayn does not have a good early game. In fact, really rough start. So this is going to be a matter of, the Scooby-Doo where somebody opens a door and they run out the other. That Kayn is going to have to really just avoid others on the map for a little while. Oh, it looks like we've got something going on here. Early game. Oh, nope. They're just running past each other. Two ships passing in the night. No action going to happen there, it seems. Everybody's just kind of sniffing around.
Yeah, the Volibear did try to go up on the other side just to see if maybe they could pinch somebody out, but both the Shen and the Syndra were on that side. They did not feel like they wanted to commit to that. And there we have got a nice little Kayn shot. One of our observers must be a big Kayn fan.
Yeah, I'm trying real hard not to swoon every time I see Goldflower on the map. Like I said, we're wholly unbiased. Oh, we have a little dance.
The bear dance is the best. Did they change his dance? I might be legit. Okay, thank God. I was gonna say I'm gonna be legitimately upset if they changed his dance because his was one of my favorites. Pretty standard starts here then. blue side for the Jarvan, and Kayn just starting at his Raptors there. Gonna move on down and clear some stuff out on his own. Now you say that Kayn doesn't have early, much early pressure, but I'm pretty certain that Goldflower defied that last week and had crazy early pressure in, I believe it was the top lane, as it has been pretty consistently for Prothean and Goldflower in their previous games. So we'll end up seeing, but I think I missed a flash come out from the Syndra, so it appears we already got a summoner spell coming out from Pan there. Prothean now taking quite a bit of damage as well.
Yeah, it's a little bit of action happening there with the Syndra early game. Orianna does have a very strong damage threshold at the beginning of this, so maybe scared her a bit, put her in her place, made sure that she knew that she was not here to make friends. I depend a lot on Kayn's transformation for them to, kind of get their stride, but there's also something to be said about Kayn's ability to, their mobility and their ability to make ganks that can't really be seen and take pressure off early game in certain lanes. Helps them control, but it looks like Husky Templar is making a move. They already know Goldflower is an issue, and they are moving to try to annul that. Unfortunately, our beloved Goldflower has succumbed to First Blood.
You know what? He gets a taste of his own medicine. you know what?
Some would say good.
Yeah, and I know I'm not saying good. Guys go down, but that's the kind of pressure that Goldflower has put on from the early starts here. So limit testers really testing that limit, to see how far they can get. And they did end up using a flash from the top laner there. Dang on the Volibear did flash after Goldflower flashed out of the flag and drag, and he managed to get as much damage as was necessary to take down Goldflower. But you know what? Maybe put a little bit of damper in that confidence at least of like, hey, stay out of my jungle, stay off my side. You are a bit slower to start, and I am a quick engager here, and I do have a Volibear on the backup, so a great rotation down from Dang as well to clean that one up.
Yeah, and you know what? Great pick on Prothean. Now that I think about it, a great way to protect Goldflower going forward here, and now they know that the other team is aware of who their powerhouse is, who their map controller is. They don't want Goldflower to scale out of control, and those early deaths on Kate are really difficult, makes the transformation hard. It looks like we're looking at a replay on top here. We've got that Shen going head to head with Volibear. It looks like they're exchanging some good trades here. Nothing super noteworthy until that Volibear does the... oh no. Just going in, making sure you lock down with that Lightning Bear. Flashy style. Definitely did not expect that kind of aggression. Prothean thought they were safe and pushed it just a little too far instead of backing out like they should have. That Volibear rework does seem to be pulling one over on a lot of people. I don't blame anybody except Prothean who knows how Volibear works,
right,
and that shouldn't have happened.
and Prothean also, of all people, knows how a fed Volibear can really hurt. The Volibear does have a blue buff right now that he snagged. And the red, they both dropped off of him, so he did have that engage with a double buff on that. Now Dang, though, 2-0-0, already sitting with a nice little bounty on his head, 0-2 in favor of limit testers, and this is where you just gotta kind of stall it out, and maybe Sailor Scouts have to have a little bit less pressure than they've had in the previous games, and Dang already wants to deal quite a bit of damage, which he knows he's capable of doing here. That taunt gives Prothean a bit of disengage, but if you're taunting in, you can't use the dash to escape, so it's a difficult decision to make there as well when you have to make that decision in a timely manner.
Yeah, absolutely a rough ebb and flow for Prothean on that. Needs a little more time to cook in the top lane, but otherwise we have Bot doing really well here, evenly matched. That Ezreal, as to be expected, is doing a little bit of bullying. Just got that superior range and that superior mobility. Does not aid very well to both Ashe and Nami. Nami has some really slow movement speed there, despite the recourse, but Ezreal being highly mobile and stays that way for the entire game. Looks like we've got Husky Templar here endeavoring to take the dragon pre-level 6, but gets caught out by Goldflower, whose map awareness, as we know, is extremely good. If you wait for Husky Templar to get down there on that dragon a little bit, maybe you can take him out, but not with Volibear.
Not with Dang on the other side, and he's just going to go straight for the Kayn there, and down comes a couple other members of Sailor Scouts. A great Blast Cone over. Goldflower is going to take down Dopamine, and a flash coming out there from Elise in the bottom lane to try to keep that pressure up and escape with only a little bit of health remaining. He is completely out of mana, so there's not a ton that he can do, but they want to keep the pressure on now. As the flag and drag comes out, a response flash there from Lilac Soul. One tower does hit Husky Templar, but he had enough health to engage and disengage on that one just fine. There was a flash burnt on that, so a few summoner spells coming out from the bottom lane, but hey, they picked up the Infernal Dragon, and they may have lost somebody in the process, but I think it was well worth it as they got one in response.
Yeah, I like to see that the quick reflexes by Lilac Soul, and then the retreat. No attempts to make an extra shot, no attempts to say anything petty there. Just get out, remain consistent, be a reliable cornerstone lane so that Goldflower doesn't have to worry about the stress of taking care of bot lane. Well done on the disengage there. That helps keep your junglers mental on a solid up and up, especially when they have suffered first blood. That has to be a bit of a wound to Goldflower's pride. Definitely takes the transformations for Kayn and puts it on the back burner, but Goldflower did pick up that kill in mid lane and feeling pretty good and not worried too much now. The gold disparity is really not super noteworthy. I think that we're still looking at a pretty evenly matched game at this exact moment. Limit testers do have a bit of an edge though with that Volibear. That is a worrisome. Even now, 8 minutes into the game, I'm a little bit worried for them.
Recall there from the Shen. We did have a bit of a swap there as the Volibear was focusing in the mid lane. The Orianna decided to go up and help prevent that lane from being pushed too hard, too many plates being taken down from the top. So the recall there from the Shen so that he could pick up his Bombi Cinder, get a couple more items finished up there, and head back to his respective lane as the Orianna makes her way back down. So a really good swap there from Limit Testers. And oh my gosh, Dang is not going to give up here, but in the meantime, he gets taunted by Prothean, who moves down very quickly there. Goldflower trying to do some damage over the wall before getting taken down. And hey, Gromp also needs to be dealt damage there as Dang decides to poke a little bit that way. But so much damage he is dealing and really not taking that much in response there. Now he's able to just rotate back up to that lane. Not quite a 2v1 because that was a very, very low Kayn on that engage who ended up having to flash over the wall there. But pressure from two champions is not enough to dissuade Dang from focusing in the enemy jungle there and hitting him where it hurts.
Yeah, you hate to see Kayn getting blocked from farm. That puts him so far behind. Makes it extremely difficult. Oh, it looks like we got some issues top here. Prothean once again almost succumbing to Dang, who is becoming a terrifying powerhouse. The thing about Dang keeping Goldflower in their place is not necessarily about picking up kills for Dang, but just preventing Goldflower from getting farm and making it ahead. And Kayn is extremely resource dependent, extremely farm dependent to pick up steam. We won't see any serious plays from Goldflower until they have their transformation on Kayn. So unfortunately, these lanes need to keep their heads down and be cool. And it looks like Prothean is now starting to realize that,
and I think,
looking at that top.
He actually did end up getting, the long end of that stick as well. Dang using his ability at the start of that engage, and I believe he landed just outside of tower range. So had he been within the tower range, he would have had that, that new ultimate Wrecker style, avoiding getting those tower hits to start off. But because the ultimate did not land within range of that, as he walked in to do some final damage to the Shen, he did end up taking a tower shot or two, and that dissuaded him from the fight. But speaking of dissuading from a fight, Goldflower is not going to be dissuaded from any of these. Elise does make it out. No, the Goldflower managing to pick that one up. The ultimate from the Lulu. Trying to get that survivability, but Goldflower was not in range of being in that pop-up there, so a really good response there as Goldflower makes his way down and feeds his own team a little bit more, and that's going to tie up the kills here 2-2. The gold still in Limit Tester's favor, though, and that bubble just barely missing Elise as well.
We love a well-timed bubble, but unfortunately that one did not land. The Kayn, Goldflower coming in there to try to pick up that consolation kill. And like I said, leaning on Lilac Soul I think is a good thing. It's we haven't given them enough credit in this game or in the games that they've played in past. Again, very reliable, and letting Goldflower take that kill, making sure that they can secure it and walking off and letting him use his ult. That was a good call on their part. You see the teamwork here. You see that Lilac Soul really is the ultimate support ADC for Goldflower. Again, this team is positioning themselves to make sure that Goldflower gets what they need to continue to carry these games.
And down comes another dragon. Limit Testers once again have their eyes on this one. They want to prevent Sailor Scouts from getting any sort of fingernails under their skin here. At this point, they've got a bit of a lead and they want to maintain that. They have the only dragon and the only tower at the moment here. Red team is going to manage to pick that one up with no contest from blue side there. Sailor Scouts now needing to try to focus down whatever they can, clear out the jungle, and put as much pressure as possible. They do have some good pressure up in the top lane, but will it be enough to get a couple plates down in the next, just over 2 minutes here before they fall?
Yeah, Sailor Scouts is starting to hemorrhage resources. That is the issue with relying on your jungler to also be the carry. Your jungler has a job and they have to stay ahead and they have to stay farmed. People will joke that it is PvE, but the truth of the matter is that if you fall behind, you become a liability and you start to lose objectives. So it's extremely important that Goldflower continue to try to pick up wins where they can so that it can start to defend those objectives. They've already lost 2 dragons, and they will continue to lose more if Limit Testers takes advantage of how far behind Goldflower is.
And I'm curious to see as well, once this Shen decides to move down, what he will be able to offer there. I have Twilight. I think he's got some funky names, but Stand United can really come in handy for this team here later on, especially if Goldflower does decide to do a heavy engage here. However, if they just keep giving Limit Testers these objectives as willy-nilly as they have been, there's not going to be a ton of recover to be had. Another flash out in the tidal wave now coming out from the Nami. A flash in opposition from a Lilac Soul means that they have the turn and did not take very much damage at all during that engage. And that's going to send 3 members of the Limit Testers running away from just a support. No! The re-engage, the flag and drag, the Cataclysm onto Lilac Soul means he goes down. Dang now teleporting in as well as going to stun out the Nami, and they want to go for 3 as Goldflower manages to engage here. He's going to shadow step and avoid as much as possible from that big old bear. To Stand United doing what it could, but not quite enough.
Yeah, the cohesion with Limit Testers, making sure that they are there, always with each other, chasing out Goldflower, making sure that Goldflower has no recourse, no resources, no ability really to challenge this invade on them. Doing their best to try to coordinate this, but Orianna in the bushes there as well did not stand a chance and maybe was in a little bit of danger. Goldflower trying to make some recoveries, stay cool and continue to keep their head down and humbly farm their way out of this pickle that they're in. Lilac Soul is usually a very reliable, Neki Lime very reliable. They didn't necessarily make a mistake other than the fact that Prothean does not have control over Volibear in that top lane and he ended up turning the tide in that swap fight. Really unfortunate that every single edge that Limit Testers has taken, they are now exploiting and it's becoming a hemorrhage for Sailor Scouts. This isn't an unwinnable game. There's only an almost 3k gold lead here. And Goldflower, as you can see, keeping their head down, really trying to just farm the just ever-loving crap out of this map, get every resource they possibly can, and make a good comeback. And Kayn can carry a game. This is a good pick, but unfortunately it's very resource heavy. It may lead to a very discouraging lane. Yeah, those stuns on
Not nearly as much damage, though, as she would have liked, using the ultimate at the beginning of that fight onto Dopamine. I mean, she must know that Goldflower is on the other side, and he actually gets jumped on from behind by Husky Templar, who ends up using his Cataclysm just outside of the range, so Goldflower did not have to disengage from that one. He didn't have to use his flash, as he does have it available. The ultimate coming up from the Ezreal, trying to pop down Goldflower, but just barely missing out of range on that one. Husky Templar, though, is going to follow up onto this Volibear as they now focus down Shelly. But this time, the Sailor Scouts do have a few members in the wings here to respond. That's going to be a second tower, though, going over Limit Testers in the meantime. So some great splits here and some great split aggression as well on these team fights.
Yeah, it's snowballing out of Goldflower's control just because, like I said, if your jungler can't keep up, you start to hemorrhage resources and it becomes a double loss. That's the issue with investing in your junglers, that if they end up falling behind, the losses compound much more than they would in other lanes.
That damage is ridiculous, though. The ultimate coming through from the Volibear means he's going to avoid a few tower shots and deal a ridiculous amount of damage there. Half damage now on this tower, and oh my gosh, the Orianna W as well, bringing Lilac Soul down to less than half. Goldflower trying to engage there and doing absolutely nothing as Dopamine is able to flash out, throw down the Ignite. Husky Templar flashing in the meantime as well. Rift Herald coming down to take down this tower. Shelly winding up for that push, but not needing to take down tower number 2 now as the focus here. Lilac Soul is going to go down, and on the backside, my goodness, Husky Templar may be our new jungle MVP as he goes behind the tower here and picks up another elimination for Limit Testers, who are focusing on invading their way into the base. Shelly getting off a second charge here now, and they almost take down the first inhibitor turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, my neighbor Harold is really just taking it out here. Not great for them. Again, like we've said before, the losses are compounding. Now these objectives are just hemorrhaging. The losses are compounding. When Goldflower cannot keep up with this, they lose the ability to defend these objectives. And instead of just gathering gold, losing towers, you're also losing towers, you're losing objectives, you're losing everything, and the other team is starting to slowly gather momentum. I don't know if slowly is the word here, though. Let's watch a replay of that there. You watch Shelly coming in there, and unfortunately, Prothean succumbing to Husky Templar's ability to just get in and out of there. The Flagon Drags, those have been extremely good tonight. I did not expect that. But of course, we haven't seen this team play. It's just hard to see outside of the Shrine of Goldenflower. But we have a new jungle champion for the moment.
And now look at the vision as well across the board here. 1 or 2 wards did go down, but look at the deep vision here that the Limit Testers have been able to place. There is some vision there from Sailor Scouts, but only 1 sweeper that they have on their team at the moment, whereas Limit Testers have swapped over to 2 sweepers in an attempt to prevent Sailor Scouts from laying down as much of this vision as possible, because they know how much it has helped them and as much has helped teams here in the past in engaging behind towers. We've seen it from Husky Templar a couple times before here. We've seen it from Goldflower as well, but he's not able to follow through with it, with Dang doing as much damage as he is. And now Dang is actually going to be the focus of the next fight there. He is going to drop down the Sky Splitter in an attempt to get some slows down. The Nami tidal wave coming through. The arrow does hit though, and that is a dead bear. That's a nice rug for your living room right there, as they're going to move their focus over here to the Dragon Pit. Gonna, make the best out of that one, throw down a little bit more vision in response, and those are the little wins that Sailor Scouts needs here to recover from this one. Sitting on no dragons, no turrets currently, and a relatively large differential, though not as big as we have seen in a lot of these games. That's the kind of pick that they need to push back to these Limit Testers.
Yeah, Goldflower is ready to be evicted from the jungle, but got a little stimulus check there. And it's actually not looking hopeless quite yet. I mean, the momentum that Limit absolutely has is undeniable. But listen, Goldflower, if they can get the momentum that they need, if they can get that transformation and really take advantage of it, we'll be looking at something. We'll be looking at a different game here in the next 5-10 minutes, depending on whether or not they can take advantage of that play that they just made. It was a small relief for Sailor Scouts to be able to get that pick on Dang.
And we'll see if they can spot out any of this vision. Like I said, we got a few more sweepers on the side of Limit Testers. Dopamines is going to take out this blue, though. No need for the Jarvan to take him. He's been snagging everything from the enemy jungle at this point. A few pickups, a few pushes, a couple recalls, and getting more items is going to be the name of the game at this point as well, really, for Sailor Scouts and also Limit Testers here in trying to clear things out. But these moves from Sailor Scouts now have to be collective, they have to be communicated, and they have to be well thought out before they even venture into their own jungle, thanks to the 5 towers that Limit Testers have already taken down in this game, and almost a 6th one in front of their mid inhibitor.
Yeah, you mentioned before, honestly, this is very astute, the vision disparity. Almost every member of this team has a vision ward on the map, or at least did 30 seconds ago, and they made sure that they did the best that they could to keep control of this map. We've got a little bit of a pause here. We're going to go into, yeah, it's the game looks like it's been paused now. Not sure why, but it doesn't really matter. The vision, though, did you look at those vision scores? Yes. I can't believe the disparity between those. I remember when I started playing however many years ago, the first thing I was told is the vision is the one thing that you should really focus on. You should always have those wards on the map. And it's true though, I mean, even just like spot comparing those vision scores, we've got Lulu here at 35, but Nami at 29, but these make significant differences. And all those sweepers as well, making sure that they won't be able to come back. Oh, we've got a huge team fight here with Dang coming in.
Tidal Wave missed 2 members there. The Volibear is going to bring the storm here. Goldflower is going to be the next target. Volibear is not going to be able to escape from this one. He recognizes that, tries to turn on the Lilac's ult to do as much as possible. Elise able to come in and clean the rest of this up. Prothean is the final member to engage on this fight. It is a 3v1, just trying to take down one in response to that. The Orianna is going to pick up a double kill now, and that is a lot of kills on the side of Limit Testers, and it's definitely going to lead to this first inhibitor tower getting taken down.
Yeah, it looks like Goldflower really tried to get in there and maximize their wins in addition to their losses. Had to go back in, knew he was not going to make it out of there alive. Attempted to put some damage in for Lilac's ult to clean some stuff up, but it was not meant to be. The shutdown on Dang, still very good, still key to the strategy there, but listen, Husky Templar is becoming an issue. Low-key, also we have bounties on Orianna, we have a bounty on Ezreal. The other team has definitely got some gold on them, and you can make a recovery. That's the great thing about these bounties, is that they allow you, if you can put them on the right champ, let's say Goldflower gets both of those, they might be back in business, but it just depends on how this goes.
That Ash arrow did end up spotting out Husky Templar setting up for this dragon. If I'm not mistaken, I think I saw a mountain symbol down there. It's covered up by a ward, but yes, it does look like it is mountain, so this is going to be huge for either of these teams. Really, Sailor Scouts does not want Limit Testers to get access to this. They already have extra pressure on objectives, having the Ezreal W, with extra damage going out there, and the engage is going to occur through Prothean. The taunt onto Husky Templar, the ultimate now coming out from the Volibear on the back line. Prothean doing what he can to peel there, but the split aggression from Limit Testers means nothing can be done from Sailor Scouts. Now the fight is split itself. A great blast cone there from Goldflower is going to mean he will survive this one for a little bit longer. Now Prothean is stunned down and having to deal with the bear running around. The walls do save him on this one, but those are some very healthy Limit Testers and a couple very dead Sailor Scouts. That's just going to be a very easy dragon pickup now, and the second mountain of the game for the red side.
Yeah, you know what? This is the very strong tank game that we kept asking about by sheer force of will. There's just no way for Sailor Scouts to burn these really big players, Husky Templar and Dang, down all the way. Plus, when you've got that Ezreal, let's watch a replay of that fight there. Pushing them out there, we've got Jarvan hopping right in there. Oh, so Dang always gets the kill on Syndra, pretty easy there, and then Goldflower trying their very dangness, but they know that it's a lost cause, using that blast cone to get over the edge there, and just wounded. All members of Sailor Scouts wounded, and this has turned into a barren fight. An unfortunate.
Not even a barren fight, no fight needed there, as the members of Sailor Scouts, or at least those that had any sort of influence potentially in that fight, went down around the Dragon Pit. Limit Testers able to pick up that second objective killer, being the Mountain Drake there, immediately turn onto the Baron, and that is a very quick takedown that early in the game. All 5 members got access to that Baron buff, and that means all of these lanes are going to have access to those Baron-powered minions here. Dopamine doing a great job as well, and I'm sure Husky Templar doing a good job of sharing the jungle here with that mid laner in order to keep that CS advantage in their favor, as they have pushed out the lane so far now. That's really the only opportunity they have at this point. The only tower outside of base that is left remaining is in the bottom lane, and this Kayn is going to do everything in his power to not let it go down.
Yeah, we've just gotta, you've gotta defend the leftover objectives that you have, especially when the enemy team has 4, almost 5 dragons here. Looking pretty grim on the side of Sailor Scouts with kills at 5 to 16. It's definitely a rough thing to look there and see. No towers in Sailor Scouts' favor, but 6 in the favor of Limit Testers. You want to protect the resources that you have because you don't have a lot left. We did get 1 tower on the Sailor Scout side here. It looks like it was minions, but difficult to tell.
The teleport there coming down from the Shen meant that there had to be a disengage from Husky Templar there on the back line. Another missed tidal wave, unfortunately, from Neki Lime here. So no engage possibilities for the Sailor Scouts, but they did a great job of disengaging Limit Testers from that bottom tower, which they still have not taken down, even though it is incredibly low, and they have the opportunity here any moment. They've got Baron Empowered minions, and they're going to go in on this one. The Cataclysm, followed by the Stormbreaker, but just too much damage coming out from Sailor Scouts. What a shockwave from this Orianna, though, and the backline Shen trying to do what he can. These 3 members of Limit Testers are still at full health. Pistachio taking down Goldflower, and Elise immediately responding with Neculime's demise there. Now they are looking at inhibitor number 2 here as Baron Empowered minions push into both the mid lane and the bottom lane. They are now focusing on the Nexus towers here. They've got 20 seconds on 4 members almost of Sailor Scouts. They are going to push this as far as they can, and this should equal the win here for Limit Testers and the removal of Sailor Scouts from this week's finals.
Yeah, you've got that Orianna there making sure that they can get that Nexus. And this is a huge, huge upstart for our Sailor Scouts here. They were the underdogs in our first game. They were our precious underdogs. They came back. They made it happen. And now we're looking at some new reigning champions. We are looking at this previously unseen team really upsetting the balance of what we have come to know. I'm going to say this is fantastic.
This is kind of what we were hoping for, you know, not that we want other teams to lose. Obviously, nobody's trying to pick out other teams to go down, but it is always nice to see 2 new teams hitting those finals. Your Nightmares being the one that we just saw in that last game, taking down Ra, and now Limit Testers taking down those reigning champions of Sailor Scouts after the Sailor Scouts took out the finalist champions from last week of Gamer Snails. So a lot of teams that had a lot of prowess being taken down, and a bunch of it has to do with the change in play style here, or the adjustment. And that's what I was talking about at the end of last game of, hey, this is how you can figure out maybe how these teams that might be undefeated or might seem to be doing just incredibly well against any team composition can in fact be taken down. Just different strategies, different compositions, and the extra tank on the side of Limit Testers there certainly help them with those engages.
Yeah, it was rough to watch because the sheer control that Limit Testers displayed is the same that we have seen from the Sailor Scouts. And so it was interesting to watch that just flip-flop, not in their favor anymore, but we do love, I mean, it's a great dynamic. We love to see this, like, you know, ebb and flow. It creates great entertainment. I'm sure Twitch is having a really grand time watching this because we have seen nothing but the status quo change every single game. There has been very little of continued whoever the alpha is in this game. It's flip-flops all the time. We've seen some really exciting stuff. And listen, I'm pro magical girl myself. The Sailor Scouts have a very serious place in my heart. Hate to see it happen, but I love to see a new team enter the ring and come out on the other side like this.
And so much potential, such heavy engages, so much deep backline dives, going behind 1 or 2 towers from both of these new teams that we just saw this last game and this game. So your Nightmares going to be going up here against Limit Testers in the finals as we have just completed that semifinals bracket. Means that we could really see anything if both of these teams have successfully gone through with a very similar play style and very heavy engages, very deep divers, bursty style champions, maybe a little bit more bursty from your Nightmares than we saw from this one. But a lot of prowess as well in the bottom lane that we haven't seen much of. So we could be looking at a completely different game style than we've seen for last week and the majority of this week so far. I am stoked and cannot wait to see what is brought to the table, and also what strategies in terms of bans and manipulating the composition in the pick ban draft that both of these teams are going to bring up, because that has been really big for either of these on these team engages.
Yeah, I was really impressed with Elise's performance on Ezreal. That was really awesome to watch because, again, you said it, we've had very stable, easy ADC lanes. We got a little bit of action there, and it was really exciting. We got definitely some picks on the side of Elise there. A lot of Lilac Soul and Neculime trying to play it safe, thinking they're playing it safe. They see their junglers coming, they push in to try to get for the kill, and then you got Dane teleporting in from top because they have bullied Prothean into submission, coming down to bot lane, making it messy. Hey, listen, we have to thank Limit Testers for giving us exactly what we asked for.
It is true. And we can imagine as well, Sailor Scouts coming back next week. Shen was the least, the least aggressive of all the champions that we have seen Prothean pick up so far. Shen is a lot more a later game focused in terms of using the Stand United to assist his team, in using his mobility to engage and then also disengage for his team and swap aggression over to him. He wasn't able to provide any of that due to the fact that he was the heavy focus at the early part of the game. That Volibear going 2-0 right towards the start. Yes, a lot of that had to do with Husky engaging 1 or 2 times, but that Kayn that we saw so much prowess on with Goldflower, who has played so well on so many different champions, does pick up a returning champion here, and they just can't make it work. Because of the heavy engage and the early engages and invades that we got from the limit testers. So this next game is going to be one for the ages, I can tell you that. And that just means that these upcoming weeks as well, if you haven't already signed up for it, you can do it on a weekly basis. The earlier you get in, if you need another team, the earlier you'll be able to find more players and maybe be assigned to a Pug-style team here. So definitely don't be discouraged, especially if you're like, I can take these guys. Come on, a Kayn, a Volibear, that's not a big deal. Keep an eye on these streams and stuff, and the more players that we get in here, the more of a variety we're going to get, and the more of these kinds of games and upsets that we love, we're going to be able to deliver to you guys.
Yeah, we absolutely love to see it. And again, I just want to touch on really quick, we have some wonderful sponsors. We have Zenni Optical, right? We were talking about these blue light blocking gaming glasses. Would not be able to have these incredible dynamic games without them. And then we've got the US Air Force, we've got the Marine Corps, we've got GameStop and Nissan. Just want to give a shout out, especially to Supergirl Gamer Pro, being able to give this kind of representation in these kind of tournaments in a space like esports. It's really nice to watch. It's really, really good to watch. These are incredibly dynamic games, and I'm so excited to see what the future brings. We have 7 more weeks of this, and I could not be more excited.
And even if you're not a gamer or like to do more outdoorsy stuff, maybe the gamers aren't attributed to being savvy with, Supergirl Pro has a ton of involvement and has been around since 2007. So has a ton of involvement in a bunch of different stuff. Definitely Google that, take a look. We'll plug everything, as we go through. We'll plug everything closer towards the end. But this is a series dedicated to celebrating women, and for Gamer Pro, celebrating women in gaming. So it feels really good to be acknowledged this way. On that note, we are going to take another quick break, so you guys can step away. You got about 2.5 minutes before we are going to be diving into the finals here when we see your Nightmares going up against Limit Testers.
Thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenni lenses, they block the blue light.
I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you? Wait, what? The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope.
Watch this.
Come on, breathe.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you?
You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
It's not just the ships, the armor, or the aircraft. It's something more. It's the will to fight and determination to win, found inside each and every Marine that answers a nation's call. Battles won.
Hey, we are back, everybody. You better be ready for the finals this week because we are so incredibly ready. I can't even explain it. We've got your Nightmares going up against Limit Testers here after a couple of insane games. We want to say that it's the underdogs, but these teams do not appear to be underdogs in the slightest with the amount of prowess and advantageous situations they've been placing themselves in up against some pretty high-level teams and some teams that took home quite a few points last week. All right, now here's where I can properly ask this question, Kari, in that just based on the minimal interaction we've had with both of these teams, now do you have any change in your advice? We've been mostly just advising, watch the jungle, watch the top lane. Any adjustments now that we're seeing some different styles in gaming finally?
Oof, you know what? It's gonna be tough. I don't have any really good advice because we've had so many shakeups now. I'm having a hard time coping with it emotionally. Our reigning champion, Goldflower, just absolutely crushed in the same way that we've just been watching it over and over again, that the status quo is changing over and over again. I don't know. I'm so frazzled emotionally. I don't know what to tell these teams, especially in this last one. What do you think we're looking at here? Do you have any good predictions to go off of?
So these teams, now that we've gotten a little bit of insight this week on also some of the elos for these players, I don't even want to tell you guys, what elos might be and things like that. But in the mid lane here, Solaris is one of the lowest rankings and by far has been one of the craziest mid laners that we've seen so far. So I would like to say, just at least in terms of that is the exact opposite of what we've been saying, is keep an eye on the mid lane and the bottom lane for these upcoming games because of the style that the top laners and the junglers have been very, very similar here. Whereas with the mid lanes and the bottom lanes, it's been a little bit different. You have a little bit more, I guess, leniency in terms of the compositions that have been going through of how you play these games. I wouldn't be surprised if a Cassiopeia was going to be banned out away from your Nightmares there, as Solaris Revenge, the captain of this team, ran over the opposing mid laner in the previous game that we watched there. But my goodness, the Elise and Pistachio, on the other hand, making me eat my own words in terms of talking about the Lulu, for instance, of, how I'm, up or down. I really think that a lot more champions can offer more, but that Lulu was massive. And Pistachio is definitely a big shout out for the team here, as well as Elise on that end. So, yeah, I like to flip-flop it. I'm going to give this one a bottom side focus instead of top like we've been experiencing for the most part.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see how this one goes. These are two new teams. We had never seen these before. We had never experienced these players, and so it's really interesting to be able to go into this completely without any real reservations. We have no idea what kind of dynamic they have. The other two reigning champions have been knocked out by these two teams. And I'm really also, you're right, it's going to be, I think, more focused on the bot lane. I think we've got some really good stuff in the mid lane. I think we're ready to go to Champ Select, too.
Yes, I keep saying that's my favorite part, aside from the game.
It kind of is, though, right? This is when we get to, kind of make.
And the cool thing about this week as well, last week, I think I mentioned it earlier in this week's stream, last week it was all blue side victories. So far this week, we have had a red side, a blue side, and then back to a red side victory. So a lot more in terms of strategies, different strategies going into these ones. We're going to start out with the bans. Now, these I can assume will be selected a little bit more focused on the players themselves and what they've been doing well with. Olaf is a classic one that we just don't want to see. And Alpha Male Jungle is going to be focused down. That is a respect ban right there, taking the Vi away, because that made the game almost impossible for RR, who they went up against 2 games ago.
Yeah, absolutely. Alpha Male Jungle locked that map down so hard with that Vi. Really made sure that they just dominated. They were there when they needed to be there. They let other players shine. But ultimately, that Vi was the reason that that game turned around. And, I feel like maybe Nightmares, they maybe know something we don't know. Did they ban away that Olaf from Husky? Is that something that we'll maybe see in the future? You hate to see that Kennen ban for the 2nd game in a row.
Yep.
There's some fear about Kennen here, it looks like, but probably for good reason. Dang is terrifying in that top lane with that Volibear. We don't want any lightning in that top lane, I think, for Nightmares. Anything that's lightning-based Just want to cut that one out there.
And that's, I was going to say, after that game ended, just ban the top 3, players, champions. They've got the Vi already banned. They've got the Cassiopeia banned. The only other one on there would be the Aurelia to ban away because Sign Me Up was so ridiculous on that Aurelia in diving behind 2, even 3 towers and diving into a base when no towers were taken in that lane and still coming out with 3 or 4 eliminations finally going down at the end when she had to, air quotes included there. The Jarvan is going to be the final ban there, though, which Husky Templar just played last game, so they know that they're not planning on taking it at this point. It's also something that they don't want the opposing team to snag away.
Yeah, Alpha Male Jungle has already proved that they are, very diverse, but when they're given these mobile controlling champions that can really occupy one champ, hit that back line, you don't want Vi or Jarvan on their team at all. You don't want anything even remotely resembling that. I do respect the Cassiopeia ban a lot, especially because Solaris Revenge, the team captain, displayed a lot of scary... What? Sorry, interrupted by a Lulu again. Goodness gracious, we've got a lot of that going on here.
Yeah, actually, every single game today we have had a Lulu. And Limit Testers picked it up on the last game. Your Nightmares was also running it with the Kai'Sa in the game prior to that last game, which was the shortest game that we have seen so far over the last 2 weeks during this whole tournament, this whole series here. So certainly something to watch out for. Ooh, a Karma being selected there.
I feel like...
that's a flexible pick, though. That can go in the... likely we're going to see it in the bottom lane just based on the styles that these players have had. But I do love early flex picks just in case you want to arrange things in a different manner.
Yeah, it does look like Limit Testers is probably still going for that solid tank build that makes it really hard to burn down if they get ahead. Karma's definitely somebody that you can build in kind of a beefy manner. Get her nice and good, and I think that you've honestly got probably a plan to peel for Elise here, who showed in the last game, especially on that Ezreal, that they are forced to be reckoned with. And Jhin, you can get a safe Jhin pick, or you can get a really, it just depends on if he scales, but Jhin is a solid pick, very survivable, nice and easy. I would love to see an ADC carry this game, and Jhin has the potential to do that.
I do also like the focus on the bottom lane early. Both of these teams know that most of their prowess is going to be mid-jungle top, that full top half of the map. And so they'd rather crank these guys out and potentially get a couple counter picks in the Fiora, who we have actually seen banned out in most of these games. We haven't seen any exposure of her on the Rift yet, maybe making her first appearance so far.
Yeah, Sign Me Up has proven that they love those dashy champions that can just get in, get out, and Fiora's no exception to that rule, although a little bit heavier on the damage side, so depending on what pick they get, they need to be able to get kills in that top lane to be effective early game. I love Anivia. I absolutely adore Anivia. The strategic plays that you can make on Anivia, plus the damage threshold, is actually relatively impressive, especially early game. Anivia is a very frustrating champ and very strategically sound pick there.
Wukong is going to be the next selection there for the Limit Testers, and his rework has given him a lot more exposure here in the Rift, as we've got, the responses and some movement from his clone, as well as that double ultimate proc, which can really come in handy in terms of popping up an entire team. And we've seen these heavy engaged teams be picked up by both of these players so far, so that is just another one to add to the docket of classics. Now phase 2 of bans coming through. Aphelios is going to be the first one banned out by the Limit Testers, as no ADC has yet been selected by Your Nightmares.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see. I wonder, Ame, it looks like they're in the ADC category. Aphelios is a very diverse champion, can do a lot of different things, but for the most part, if you know how to play Aphelios, you can be an extreme threat. And it looks like potentially Ame might have been more, I would have loved to have seen that, honestly, if they really if these teams truly know each other and they're making that Aphelios ban, plus that Kog'Maw ban, it looks like they're afraid of Ame.
Because he's got a cool new skin.
Oh yeah, too cool. That what was that? The magic Oh man, I can't remember.
Arcane.
Arcanist.
I don't know. Something cool looking. Either way, it was neat. And there are going to be mid bans coming out here. Solari's Revenge wants to be able to get the same benefit that she had in pushing that early lane in the mid there. So Orianna and Lux going to be the two final bans. Limit Testers on the other side banning out two ADCs there. I guess a potential mid laner. Though Elise is going to lock in the Ahri there for Dopamini. A good pickup. We've seen Ahri several times come out, and that charm has been massively pivotal in terms of the later game fights, as well as picking up some early potential kills. Plus, it actually gives you, just having an Ahri on the team means that, you know, if there's an Ahri on the opposing team, I'm like, all right, they're going to invade early. You know, we got to watch out. We got to stick together, because one person gets charmed out, and that's a first blood going over to the opposing team.
Yeah, I've seen kind of a theme here on these other bans. They really don't want Limit Testers to have some tried and true CCers here. Again, Ashe is such a good, solid pick on their end. I know that you have a lot of feelings about Nocturne. You feel pretty good about this pick from the side of Nightmares?
Yes, I do love the Nocturne, and when we're talking about really heavy engagers and lots of bursty champions, there's so much burst on the side of your Nightmares, which is what worked for them last game. A great pick, though, in response here, actually, the Zac being selected, so a lot of deep engage potential for Limit Testers, less in terms of the burst, though they are still a very bursty team. It's just going to take them a little bit longer to get there, as opposed to your Nightmares having a lot of that early on, but I like the fact that both of these teams look like they want to engage, they want to burst as much as possible, and they want to also be able to have a potential disengage here. So very similar playstyles potentially coming out from these guys. Hopefully another long game like we saw in the last finals.
Yeah, I'd really like to see something that is not akin to a stomp. I mean, stomps happen. If that's what happens, we'll have something really exciting and a quick, quick stomp, but I don't think that's going to happen. It seems like both of these teams they've both risen to the top, completely unknown, raking in the points here. I think Zac and Nocturne is going to be really exciting. We've had so many exciting jungle matches. I will be shocked if we don't see some very fun, innovative plays, especially from Husky Templar, who has proven their ability to have just some very solid choice engages. And Zac definitely makes the potential for that. I think a little bit better, honestly. I mean, Jarvan's engages is great, and his ability to gank, but you know, Zac always just comes from anywhere. It's a lot of fun. This is a very playful pick, especially.
A Jarvan Wukong combo with those ultimates might have been kind of nice. They did ban that Jarvan out from themselves there, so yeah, a lot of engage. And you know, still some good escapability and potential to survive if the Nocturne does decide to head backline. You know, if they have the communication that is necessary to survive something like that from the darkness appearing and falling down on everyone, then, you know, having a Wukong there, having a Zac there, that gives them the potential to disengage if their communication is sharp enough. And based on the previous games, I would say that is the case for both of these teams. Vision and communication has been at the top of their list.
Yeah, I'm actually really, really excited, especially to see that Wukong in top. Dang in the last game really impressed us, definitely made us feel things that we've never felt before, and being able to see that Fiora Dang in top, signs up for literally every engage, whether they live or not.
And hey, who's similar to Aurelia?
Fiora. Yeah, oh, so much. Like, definitely a solid pick. Really excited to see if Sign Me Up takes those same risks that they took in the last game, considering how formidable the team that they are after, and how incredible Dang has been. I'm actually excited for every single lane here. There is not one matchup that doesn't have the potential to just blow up and turn into something really interesting here. You know, although teams with this much skill generally try and start as even-tempered as they possibly can, really keep control of the map. So I do expect to see that. But again, we're in week 2, and we don't know these teams. We don't know these players at all. And anything could happen. And it has. It has happened. I've been so shocked and so pleased to cast these unpredictable games. It has been a delight. Yes.
Oh yeah, and this is exactly what we hope for too. Rarely do we get what we hope for in these terms.
So rare.
But some very even games. You know, the shortest game being just over 20 minutes, and that was your Nightmares playing a little bit earlier on. I'm definitely expecting a longer game based on the similar playstyles from these two teams, and I do really like, you know, that Fiora as an early pickup. The riposte ability is great, but somebody like Wukong gives you minimal in terms of that. You know, you're not going to be able to stun him back. You're not going to be able to use it really other than preventing damage and things like that getting onto you. So still lots of potential though. I'm the burst ability from your Nightmares is quite insane. And again, there's still quite a bit of burst ability from Limit Testers. It's just going to take them a little bit longer, but they have more opportunity to survive through that burst early on. So it really depends on, on who's focusing out those objectives mostly and who is doing exactly what we just talked about, getting that vision down, trying to prevent any of these deep engages that can happen so instantly and so quickly, and just focusing on objectives and trying to clean those up and get pressure where they need it.
Yeah, and trying to peel against this Wukong and that Zac, that's going to be super nasty for your Nightmares. Trying really hard, you're your damnedest. I mean, you've got a lot of control with Anivia. I don't know who's going to be peeling for who, though. Like, I don't see very clear-cut carries in either of these games. We have not seen... we are still waiting to see any sort of ADC carry in any of these games. That's not to say that the ADCs have not been good at their jobs. Their jobs thus far have been to keep that bottom lane chill, keep it very well controlled, make sure that your jungler does not get demoralized by your bad plays or feeding, and they have always managed to accomplish that. They have been essentially, in most of these games, the bot has been like the emotional support for the jungle. They're like, hey buddy, I don't need your help. I'm good down here. Don't even worry about us. We're good. We'll be here when you're ready to pop off. And I would like to see something a little bit different, but again, these junglers have been insane, so...
And it looks like Nightmares are moving their way. They're moving as 5. Pistachio being the one here is going to throw down a ward so he can keep vision on these guys, give herself a little bit of a movement speed boost. Now, I do want to point out as well, for your Nightmares, there is a lot less survivability on them here. There's a lot more early squishiness. There's a lot less health early on. For some of these players, Fiora, probably has the most survivability of everybody, at least to start here. And so that's a good sign for Limit Testers to have some early aggression, to be able to maybe push the button a little bit harder than Nightmares might be able to do. Because if Nightmares can do it, but if there is a good response and good communication from Limit Testers, they will likely be the ones to fall first.
Yeah, absolutely. It really genuinely depends on, the the charisma between these teams. They all need to have good communication. They all need to respect each other's calls, and they all need to be a part of the same Voltron robot, honestly. So it's going to come down to whether or not these teams respect each other's calls and really have good mental and good communication.
Pretty standard starts here, nothing beyond that sneaky move upwards as soon as Limit Testers recognized that there was a ward being placed down, or as Nightmares recognized that Limit Testers had placed down a ward. They figured they'd just disengage from that one. So good vision already. Wow, look at already the wards and the vision that has been placed down, though, by Limit Testers, both even on the far side of the river there and also even in that enemy jungle. So just really getting themselves ready in anticipation for potential ganks and for potential moves up towards that top lane.
Yeah, trying to keep control of the alpha male jungler here is definitely a solid strategy on Limit Testers. Same strategy they employed in their last game, making sure that they control the jungle and the map in general. This is what these games have come down to, is making sure that they know at all times where the enemy jungler is. And it seems like that is the intention here. Lots of really solid trades, but nothing super notable. It looks like in our bot lane, we're getting a very even, very, again, level-headed presence. Nothing too crazy. I did see a couple trades in top lane that were a little aggressive, so we might get some action up there to begin with. But so far, so good. We like a good, even Anivia game. But it looks like Fiora is going for the nasty, nasty first blood.
Ooh, no way! She just barely missed it.
Yeah.
I mean, one look at that Wukong would have spelled his demise. He did end up flashing away last second to get under tower, and that Fiora to take 1 or 2. And now in response, Husky Templar wants to go in. He's going to get the grab, and he does pull a minion to pull Sign Me Up just a little bit closer, but not quite enough to get any closure on a first blood here in this lane. Sign Me Up going to be a little bit risky and stay up top, trying to continue to push this lane. We do have some pings coming out, and the Nocturne making his way up towards Husky Templar, and he is going to start an engage on this Husky Templar. Like I said, a lot more survivability early on here. Gets the smash up into the Krug there, and now Dang is on his way over, and a flash out from Alpha Male. Sign Me Up really couldn't re-engage on that one, just trying to put some pressure onto the lane, and Dang in the meantime is going to go in on them. He's going to clone out and move back towards his tower, though. As little damage as possible is what he wants to allow on those plates before 14 minutes through.
Bit of a miscommunication between Husky and Dang there. Will they go in? Will they not? Husky did burn a smite to get some extra health and maybe potentially go back in. But Dang was committed, and then Husky was not. It is okay. They do not need to take any risks right now. I'm getting a little bit of deja vu from the last game between Sailor Scouts and Limit Test, where Sailor Scouts had a bunch of really close turret dives, really tried to get that first blood. Everybody in Limit Testers was getting away with a sliver of health, maybe made Sailor Scouts feel a little too safe. And then Limit Testers turned around and made sure that they knew who was boss. So gave them enough to feel like they were competent and then crushed them. Hopefully that's not the case here.
Right. Well, you know, even though it seems to be a little bit of an attempt, they are playing in a much safer manner here. Pings coming out now from the red side, as we can see Zach making his way down. He picked up that scuttle and might want to do a little bit of invade as Pistachio gets very low, and a flash away from that elastic sling there. The exhaust coming out now onto Clorox. That's going to be the support, though. Is that really who you want to get that elimination on? And the focus spread between all of these guys means that they're going to be low enough that they need to back out here. A couple assist pings and an on-the-way pings coming down, but not much more opportunity here. Alpha Male Jungler trying to find his way in, maybe just a little too late. However, that is two very low bottom laners here, and he is going to make his way in. Pistachio flashing out, Elise quickly following with the flash out, so not quite soon enough to engage. And Zach, Husky Templar deciding, hey, I'm going to re-engage here, and a first blood going over to Dang on the backside as he teleported down. Now Clorox on the rocks. The best way to drink Clorox is going to be the next focus here. That's two pickups for Limit Testers on the back line. Alpha Male Jungler makes his way, and he just wants to pick up the one, and he is able to do so before going down to Elise. Was it worth it? We'll never know.
We will never be able to ask them if it was worth it. That, the Dang special, I think is what we're going to have to call it from now on. Definitely trying to make sure that they are in touch with what every single lane is doing. Their map awareness is excellent. They are a dependable teammate.
Oh my goodness! Larry's the captain of the team, getting a fantastic wall to block that Jhin off, and as he doesn't have flash, he's got zero escapability. Husky Templar almost going down here to Dragon, and will he? Oh my goodness, the passive does pop. He will survive on this, as the only member now of Nightmares is Solari's Revenge, but that can't feel good, having to drop that not during a team fight. In fact, just try to fight off the Dragon, and in return, Nightmares pick up the Dragon, so that feels even worse.
Oh no, I can't believe that Husky Templar is losing PvE. How embarrassing. It is okay. Husky has had an incredible game thus far. Sometimes you make a little bit of an error in judgment. Maybe felt bad for leaving his bot lane there and having to go back. Guilt will do that to you. It will kill you inside. It can maybe hurt your game a little bit. Don't let it get you down, Husky. We believe that you are worth what we are putting inside of you here. I think this is a great game so far. Every time there's a reaction, there is an equal reaction here happening. So everybody's really keeping on top of their game, but Husky...
Ultimate, the stun coming through there from Solaris and getting another good wall to block off Husky Templar, who ends up getting taken down. As we already knew, that passive had been popped there. Dopamine doing quite a bit of damage here, but that Dragon is already down, so everyone can kind of move into their respective lanes, head back, maybe pick up a little bit more mana. As we can see, Solari's Revenge expended quite a bit there. Good stun there onto Elise, and that Q has been popped. So much damage coming through, but it does look like that Elise did have a pot or two in the pocket, is able to get a little bit of health back before going down there.
Yeah, you're kind of getting a glimpse of why they banned those two ADCs away from Ame. Absolutely on their game. No room at all for any ADC in the bot lane to underestimate Ame's ability to take advantage of any distraction. I'm wondering if we should change the Dang special to the Solaris special. Both of them have excellent map awareness. Sign Me Up and Solaris coming here to double team on Dang.
Dang is going to have to pop the ultimate actually after flashing in. There it re-engages, but he's not going to survive as another phenomenal wall comes through. No way, the passive being popped there on Solari's Revenge before they can actually deal enough damage to Dang, who is now invading the enemy jungle, taking quite a bit of damage here from the Wolves. The slow not quite catching him there. Solari's Revenge is doing everything she can, but doesn't quite have the movement speed here at this point in the game. There it is, though. The darkness appears, and down goes that Wukong. It was a well-fought fight, but he did not end up succeeding in the end, expending his flash in the early parts of that fight. But it did take 3 champions to bring him down.
You know, they always say don't chase Singed, but did they ever mention don't chase Wukong? Was that a good play? Was it a waste of time? I think it was a solid shutdown on Dang there, even though it took a lot of teamwork. That is a champion you want to chase. That is a player you want to chase through the forest here. Bot lane still looking really pretty. Not too much of a disparity between anybody. We do have Elise there making some plays, but again, we did say Ame's prowess and ability to come back and make warning shots here. I would say that Ame and Clorox on the Rocks definitely have a little more bully power, but they are taking advantage of Nightmare's Nightmare's ability to have let go of some of these objectives on the map, and they're pushing that tower in as hard as they possibly can. Everyone wants to end the lane phase here, wouldn't you agree?
Yes, and getting a couple plates definitely feels good for them. A couple more 100 gold in their pockets, as they don't want Nightmares to get too far ahead, because a few items on the champions that they have picked means their survivability does not equate to a lot here. In 3, 1, and 0, the majority of these kills, all but one actually going over to the Nocturne, is a good sign for your Nightmares as well. Already seeing how well the jungle did in that previous game there. And Husky Templar on the other end being, one of our heavy focuses that we were watching, aside from, of course, the bottom lane, Elise and Pistachio there, means that their jungler, that alpha male jungler, must be feeling pretty good about taking down somebody that we were talking up so hard.
Oh yeah, I have a little of an emotional pain left from Husky Templar. Really just crushing Goldflower Spirit. Hopefully they can make it back next game. I love to see this top lane here. Sign Me Up, taking some risks and being punished for pushing in too far without any vision. This has been an issue for a lot of teams. You can't go in that hard without making sure that you know where the enemy team is and what they're doing, even if your jungler is close.
And this Anivia now is going to potentially encounter Zac. Actually paused very nicely in that single bush there in the river, so gonna wait as long as possible for Shelly to deal as much damage as she can, and also Husky Templar to get down as low as possible. She's just sitting there in that bush waiting. This Ahri recognizes that something is going on. Solari's Revenge coming through. I think I saw a teleport coming onto that. Yes, a teleport coming through from the Fiora, who ended up getting charmed and had to, getting stunned up and had to back away from that one. Zac, in the meantime, going down on that fight. And your Nightmares doing the exact thing that they are born to do, stealing all of your dreams, and they're going to take Shelly away from Limit Testers.
Yeah, hide your kids, hide your wife. Nightmare is coming for everything you love. Specifically, a Husky Templar, who gave us an incredible performance by no fault of their own, is really in the wrong place at the wrong time. Not a great feeling. I think that they have it in them to recover. I believe in Limit Testers, but I also have the same amount of belief in Nightmares. So far, very close game. This is the kind of excitement that we were looking for in this as well. There is no clear strategic victor here so far. It has been very even, and you can see that by the resources here. Nightmares does have that Ocean Drake, but we have another dragon coming up here. Looks like things are gearing up to get kind of spicy.
A nice deep ward there as well by Limit Testers means that they are aware of a couple members coming up towards the top side of that dragon pit. this Ahri gonna have to play a little safely, and that wall ended up kind of helping her in terms of, yeah, we're not going down at that mid lane towards the jungle pit. So some very aggressive vision is going to keep them at least on the forefront of what the enemy team is deciding here. A well-placed Shelly, though, means they should have early aggression on this one. Husky Templar gonna have to sling himself over the wall here and avoid this fight. A teleport coming in on this river bush, a great play on Pistachio. He's gonna see if he can stun them up, and the ultimate coming out now from Dang. The second proc on that, not quite dealing the damage that he wants. He's going to get exhausted in the meantime, though, and a flash in from Husky Templar, followed by a root onto Amy. That is so many summoner spells down on the side of Nightmares. Dopamine gonna have to flash out of that one as well. It is currently a 1-for-0 for Limit Testers, and now they have the push and the ability to move up towards that dragon after appearingly Nightmares had advantage of that positioning.
You know, the key there is Dang teleporting in and zoning all of their damage. Just came in and bullied them to oblivion. When you can zone an ADC into the bush and scare them away, if you can fracture a team, you can get picks. And that's what Nightmares was trying to do when they went for that Ahri.
Oh, man. We also just saw Alpha Male Jungler burn that ultimate and then realized there's really nobody for me to jump on here, actually. So the darkness falls. Everyone, you know, kind of puckers and holds themselves a little bit tighter, but nothing came of it. So Limit Testers, very successful on that one. And they're going to continue pushing here down to the bottom lane. In the meantime, there was a lot of damage that was actually dealt to that top tower while, you know, right before plates went down from the Fiora. So she did not participate in that fight. It was a little heavy-handed in terms of numbers for the Limit Testers. So still a good recovery from Nightmares.
Yeah, I like to see that even if you can't make it down, even if you can't teleport because it's on cooldown, at least you can make a difference in your top lane. I really like to see, hey, listen, he may have used his ult there and nobody was around, but Nocturne's all about psychological warfare, okay?
Right.
Doesn't have to be applicable. He's just, you know, he's just making him scared. That's the important part. You gotta just scare him. That's what you're doing. Love to see this top lane, though. I really feel like Sign Me Up is doing everything they can to make as many advantages. But unfortunately, it seems like Dang is making a larger difference on the map by making sure that they are aware of, you know, it's that same classic Dang. Well, I wouldn't say classic since we've only seen that one game. However, I just keep wanting to give Dang credit for things. You know, that classic map awareness, the old Dang special, making sure that they are there when their team needs them and making the right calls.
And I did mention as well earlier on when we were just finishing up the draft of the survivability there on the side of Limit Testers compared to Nightmares. You know, lots of burst on either of these sides. And it looks like a slingshot's going to come through on to Sign Me Up. That ultimate coming out and being charged a second time there. But Husky Templar is taking a lot of damage from this one. The teleport in from Solari's Revenge. Dang does end up taking down Sign Me Up, but the disengage there from Dang means that not much more can be taken there, or nothing in response, at least, to the Nightmares on their side. A teleport used up in that fight. In the meantime, Dopamine gonna take down as much as possible in terms of this mid turret. So much damage across all of these turrets, really, and still not a single turret having gone down. This is the longest by far that we've seen here. Solari's Revenge trying to find something on the back line here. They do take down the clone, but that's not the one that you want to eliminate in this fight. And Dang really cannot re-engage on this one, just does not have enough health, and nobody there in the wings as a backup on this fight.
Yeah, you know, last time Sign Me Up took a hit there, it was due to a lack of vision. No lack of vision there, that Zac just has such a good gank. The ability to just go in there and take it out. We've lost a tower at the exact same time.
Yeah, Blue Team did get accredited with the first elimination on that, as we saw Blue Team got the first tower, and then immediately their mid tower went down, and the second one was picked up by the Limit Testers. So almost two in a row, mid lane and bottom lane, being a pretty heavy focus for them. And now that that top tower has gone down, that really gives the opportunity here as well for Dang to kind of push out that lane and then move down, as he is currently the heaviest hitter on the team, sitting at 4-1-2, the only one on the team with a bounty there, and having done quite well against this Fiora here. A red tower being destroyed, so now it is tied at 2-2, and that gold differential is so close at this far in the game. This is by far the closest game we have seen in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah, it is so exciting. It's so hard to tell. There's so much going on here. Very few mistakes by either team, and the ones that they have made have been negligible because there are teammates there to back them up. That is the true thing about this particular game. These teams are communicating. They are always there to pick each other up. Even when small, minor mistakes are made and the other team tries to exploit it, the team is there to make sure that nobody's mistakes end up costing them the game. And I think that's the name of the game here.
And there's another engage, but an instant stun and a polymorph there onto the Zac on the back line. In the meantime, Alpha Male Jungler decides to jump in. He gets a pop-up on 4 members here, but does get charmed and shut down towards the end. A flash out from Pistachio is not going to save his life. Assign Me Up takes him down and then instantly focuses onto Husky Templar, whose passive was already popped there. So a 1-for-1 as for now, but Dang decides to jump in, use that ultimate, pops it a second time, and does the damage necessary there to get another elimination. His team needs to follow this one up, though. They are being a little bit risky and gets pushed out there by the wall from Solari's Revenge. Jhin getting the final hit on his ultimate, able to take one down. Solari's Revenge, the flash out, and instantly going down. Elise gonna go down there in response. So much back and forth from these two teams. Now the mid laner versus the ADC on either side here in the mid lane will not prove too much else, but what a good response from both teammates here. A 2-for-2 on that fight.
Yeah, very clutch on the side of Nightmares to protect that Anivia so that they could come back for that second wind, turn the tide, and then Dang with those incredible backdoor Wukong ults. So good to watch, so fun to see how these two different strategic moves just turned the tide and they came out even.
And now the Dragon is back up, another point of contention here. We can already see the Clorox on the rocks is trying to focus down, maybe clear out a little bit of vision that was placed. Does end up seeing this one, but won't have enough time to clear out that ward. So 2 members visible on the opposing side of that Dragon Pit. Alpha Male Jungler trying to find his way into this fight. And on the other side as well, Solari's Revenge trying to find any sort of engage, really neither going in fully except for Dang, who decides to jump in and use his ultimate with such a low cooldown there. He's going to pop it a second time but gets stunned on that impact. They do manage to take down Sign Me Up in the meantime, and that is going to give them the ability to take this Dragon. Red team is able to snag that one, and actually, Dang is hungry. Dang is pretty darn hungry at this point. Jumping over the edge.
Jump over the wall there. Yeah, right. Just trying to take them out. To add insult to injury, they didn't steal the Dragon, but they really wanted to get another pick there. Unfortunately, Ame trying to run towards the Dragon did not lend to a good team fight, but good on Limit Testers for engaging when they knew their ADC was not available.
The vision being placed up now by both as Dang decides to go in, potentially trying to take away the blue buff from that blue side there. Now 2 members trying to pick out Dang here as a solid charm, and a lot of damage hits down onto Alpha Male Jungler. Oh my, the Flea was not enough. The ultimate actually coming out. The charm missing there, but Ahri is going to be able to secure that elimination and escape before meeting a fatality of her own there. That's going to put her at 4-0-1 with a pretty solid bounty on her head, feeling really good on the side of Limit Testers.
Yeah, Ame's doing great, and you hate to see that because Ahri can really just take out that back line if she really wants to. So that 4-0-1 with the 400 gold bounty is definitely going to pose problems should they continue to let Limit exploit this lead that they have now, especially over the resources with 2 dragons. They're starting definitely to push a lot harder with their hemorrhages. It looks like we've got some really solid resource management on the side of Limit Testers. They find a small lead and they just turn it into a hemorrhaging hole. But Nightmares is still doing a really good job. You got Fiora on bot there pushing. You've got that split push. And Ahri coming down and is honestly not a good match on a 1v1 there for Fiora, so probably can't bully her out completely.
And that's going to give a little bit of a lead finally in terms of towers for one of these teams. A much slower tower game than we have seen, and a much more even tower game as well across these 2 teams. That gold differential barely under 1K. So very, very even game in terms of this. And a lot of these fights have gone in favor of one team or the other based on who engages at what positioning. It seems like a lot of these fights start out as splits and they end up converging on one point. Really good aggression, really good swapping, and very good use as well of either disengage or just the burst that both of these teams have to offer at any given moment.
Yeah, we have two what are essentially like faux GAs. You've got Zac and Anivia's ability, and they've both used them strategically to say, hey, I'm not dead, you didn't kill me yet. Probably should worry about that. Come back and turn the tides of these battles as well. And they also know where the other team is at any given time. Again, you've mentioned this before multiple times. The vision allows them to see if there's an ADC lagging behind, if there's a jungler lagging behind. They try to engage when they know that the other team is missing a member or two to try to really make those team fights, because neither team is confident that in a 5v5 they can win, so they've got to get those picks. They've got to do those engages. That's the most strategically sound way to do this. When you're so evenly matched, you want to make sure that you are getting these engages where the other team is missing an entire member or two, and do it very quickly and clean up before they can arrive to help their teams. So it's all been very timing based. Everybody's been making really good calls on when to engage and when not to engage. Good boomerangs. But it looks like things are going to ramp up in intensity here. Each team is gathering as many resources as humanly possible, and we are going to see this come to a head. There are going to be some full-on team fights, and I'm looking forward to that, especially because the sneaky part of the game is pretty much over. Everybody knows where everybody stands and where they're at, and everybody's utilizing vision in a really important way that's keeping the game very evenly matched. Looks like there's going to be a bit of a conflict here.
The pings coming out from the red side and also the blue side. You know, we know some vision has been laid here. More in terms of sweepers than we saw last game, which we always like to see, because counter vision is just as important as laying your own. It's not just about setting down wards and knowing where the enemy team is, but preventing them from being able to do the same here. And there's no real massive pressure in any particular lane either. There's not been a massive focus. There have been so many rotations from all of these players on both teams. And in terms of the pressure that they're applying, it's really wherever they have the opportunity to at the moment. So it's not as though they're playing, focusing on a specific lane that they are pressuring or on a specific objective that they're trying to not neglect or trying to keep away from the other team. It's really good reactive play from both of these guys. And that's how you want to do it. Though you do occasionally have to make the active play and get that initial engage. It just becomes risky as to when and where it is safe to do so.
Yeah, they're trying to spread each other around the map. Rotation is an art, and they are all doing it fairly flawlessly. They're just trying to catch each other at the right rotation where somebody has the advantage and the other person doesn't. It hasn't happened quite yet. It has happened a few times during the course of the game, but right now this is the longest rotation phase we've seen. They're just running around the map, trying to catch each other in bad positions here, trying to catch each other out, using that vision, using that counter vision. As you had mentioned before, we haven't touched a lot on that, but if you can cripple your enemy's ability to find vision, you can usually catch them out in a bad situation. Looks like there was a Baron attempt here.
They did, yeah. I saw the pings coming out. They were actually engaging on that. We could see a couple pings of, one or two champions as well from Your Nightmares moving down towards the mid lane to try to potentially keep limit testers towards that side. Maybe even send them towards the dragon instead of recognizing that there might be some focus there on the Baron. Limit testers have thrown down some vision, though, in opposition. They're going to clear out the opposing vision here, pick up the Scuttle Crab to give themselves a little bit more. And in the meantime, they have still sent 2 members down. I'm surprised that Your Nightmares actually weren't aware that this was occurring. It was a quick pickup, but as you can imagine, that dragon has been there for, at least 30 seconds. That's long enough to recognize that it is an objective that is requiring some focus there. So Your Nightmares kind of giving that one away because they were focused a little too hard on that Baron.
Yeah, that was a very actually cool bait and switch. I was saying that Nocturne had the psychological game, but dang, they really made it obvious that he was at Baron and really took Nightmare's full attention, that they didn't even see that dragon get pulled out from under them. You're right, just kind of gave it away for something a little more exciting. And I think Baron is that for the most part in a lot of games, a glorified distraction, especially this early on.
And with how quickly, too, in previous games we have seen, I think the last game was one of the quickest. The second Baron spawned up. There was so much damage available as well on one of those teams. Having had, I believe, 2 of those Mountain Drakes as well. Nightmares, who were the ones that engaged on that Baron and that were trying to poke it down to see how much they could do at this point, didn't do nearly enough damage, don't have quite the amount of items that they need to really aggress on that one, and then also didn't have the backup on that objective damage to do so as well. In response, now limit testers are going to see what they can do here. There is a group of Your Nightmares down below, though, that are pinging out. They are on their way. Wukong from the top side is making his way down. A teleport is coming through here from Sign Me Up to try to engage on this one. And no further damage to be done as the Baron once again says, hey, look at my life heal. Like, look at what I can do after I damage all of you. That's going to push them away. And Nightmares are just going to keep focusing on getting towers as that distraction went through from Limit Testers.
Yeah, solid disengage from Limit Testers. You just want to poke Barry, see if he's ready, and see if you're ready to take on that. Not so much. It looks like we've got a good engage mid, though.
Good charm there on Sign Me Up. A flash out to follow up a dash out there. Not only are you nearsighted now, but there's a wall in front of you. That's a forced engage, an elastic slingshot that is going to lead to a pop pass there. Dane going to continue to follow it up, throwing out the ultimate. He's going to flash in on the second proc there to get a second pop-up to try to give his team some time to follow it up. They are just not nearly as quick as him, though, so they poke as much damage as possible. They're going to try one more time to engage here on this Baron, hoping that they did enough damage and took away enough of the summoner spells from Nightmares, as 4, 5, 6 of them were expended, 7 even, on that disengage.
A Baron dance, a very, very dangerous dance on the side of Limit Testers. The second try here, they really want that Baron, or they want to engage. It could just be an attempt to engage Nightmares and get the advantage here. That Fiora gets caught out a little bit. The Wukong disengages. You've got Ame there, but immediately gets targeted by the enemy team and taken out. As soon as that ADC goes down, they lose their damage threshold. And Limit Testers, they did a Baron dance.
What a sneaky flash away there as well. A solid flash from that Anivia, getting away from Husky Templar. He's not going to go down again. His passive has already been popped here, but he knows better than to take too much damage from these objectives. He now has a few blobs that he can rely on. Pistachio on the other side, trying to do a little bit of control on these enemy players. Husky Templar committing to this one, but they have to disengage now at this point. They are far too low, and they have 2 split champions on either side. They're going to send themselves toward this mid lane to see if they can get any more pressure up, but at this point now, your Nightmares are respawning and will re-engage in that. So that is another attempt, and a failed one at that, onto the Baron. Both of these teams want it so badly, but neither of them is able to burst this Baron down quickly enough before the enemy team is able to collapse.
Yeah, good play on Solaris Revenge, not giving that up despite being the only man standing. Really wanted to make sure that because they are doing Baron so early in the game and they are losing so much health, that Solaris could have got a pick if he wanted to and forced Limit Testers off of that Baron. Everybody wants Baron, everybody wants that edge. It's not working out because each team is so highly competent in their ability to shut down the other, and we've still got a very small goal disparity.
And now a re-engage there from Deng. He is the only one here, but he does have a few members lining up. He does have that GA. It is going to pop, and not quite enough CC to land on time there for them to be able to clean up the elimination. However, the ultimate coming now from the Nocturne is going to do enough damage to take him down. A great wall from the Anivia is going to feed Ame an elimination there. The Zac trying to elastic slingshot in to disrupt the opposing team there, and it is enough for Dopamini to take down a member, but he goes down in the process. The charm, not quite enough to get Sign Me Up under that tower. They take only 1 hit, but you have 3 members at least half health there on the side of your Nightmares. Elise is high enough that they won't be able to go for Baron, but Sign Me Up does recognize that, hey, there is a Mountain Drake. We've already given 2 of those over. The Limit Testers might as well take one here for ourselves, and that was a solid turnaround, a good cleanup, and a successful fight from your Nightmares.
Jolly, my heart! I can't take this anymore. There is no clear advantage on either of these teams right now. Every time we think somebody's starting to get momentum and start that slow, digging the other's grave, you always kind of feel it happen, especially as a caster when you're watching these. That is not the case. Nightmares has found an in, and they have taken advantage of it. Picking up that Mountain Drake is definitely a nice advantage there. It was a good fight. It was really a great call on the part of Sign Me Up to back out when they were being kited as well, just to preserve that lead that they have and then head towards the Mountain Drake. Great prowess on their part to make sure they didn't get greedy, they didn't chase, and they turned their eye back towards objectives. That's what separates mediocre teams from really good teams, is your ability to stop your bloodlust and focus on these objectives. Luckily with Baron, you kind of get a little of both, and we're starting to ramp up towards that again.
Oh,
good.
there is the Ashe ultimate coming out. That arrow really, I mean, hitting its mark, but not doing enough for any engages to occur as Husky Templar is pretty husky and can absorb quite a bit of damage here at this point. Do keep in mind as well, this Ahri is sitting at 5-0-4, has not gone down yet. Most of these kills have gone over to Husky Templar, who hasn't picked up a single kill for himself and is currently sitting at 0-5-10. So a little bit behind, still heavy on the forefront of a lot of these engages though, maybe going in a little too hard for his team. But the fact that this Ahri has been able to stay safe through all of these fights means that there is a considerable amount of response available from Limit Testers if they can continue to engage on these fights in a relatively safe manner.
Yeah, I think Husky, having played Jarvan before, felt that tankiness, that survivability. Zac definitely has that second wind as well that he can rely on, but it has not served him super well. So he has fallen a little bit behind by relying on that, and it looks like we've got a Sign Me Up, trying to pull that Sign Me Up flare with a little bit of a fun engage, going in hard, knowing that Solaris is behind them as well if they need it. But alas, not so much going as hard. It seems like Sign Me Up is definitely playing a little more conservatively, taking less risks than they did on that Aurelia for good reason. These are formidable opponents that they have to respect, and they cannot chase too far in unless they know that they are safe and they can see the enemies on the map.
And Sign Me Up, does have more lifesteal than this Wukong. Death's Dance on both of them, but you've got the Ravenous Hydra as well for extra damage and the survivability too from this Fiora. Still sitting on 2 of those Doran's blades as well with just the 3 finished items and the finished boots. So feeling pretty all right considering 317 creep on that. So really good pressure coming from this Fiora in all lanes. And another Elastic Slingshot gonna come through Husky Templar. Nails that, and Clorox on the rocks, even after using 2 summoner spells, is not able to escape. There comes the second ultimate from this Wukong, who is fighting 2 under his own tower. They do both survive, but very, very low on health, and that might have been the distraction necessary there for the Limit Testers to finally make a solid move on this Baron. Nocturne, I believe, is aware of what is going on, but having 2 members push so far up in that bottom lane and having Dang distract them for as long as they have does mean it appears that Baron is going over to the red side. Alpha Male Jungler doing his best to try to steal that away or take down who he can. The GA is popped on him, and Elise is given that kill onto Alpha Male Jungler after using his flash.
And here in the bottom lane, Nightmare's trying so hard with the sacrifice of Clorox on the rocks and Alpha Male Jungler to create some sort of counter advantage by taking that bot tower, but holy crap, Dang, doing a 2v1 there. Very impressive, even considering how Fiora is the queen of tower diving. Could not get the advantage there. Unfortunate ability to recoup their losses. Not such a great situation, unfortunately.
And it was okay for him recognizing, hey, you know what, even if I use my flash, even if I use my ultimate, I mean, first off, the cooldown is ridiculously low on that Wukong ultimate, but also you totally feel comfortable in expending whatever you need to when you know that your team's going to get the Baron. And even if you don't get that buff, which he did end up getting because he survived that double tower dive from those 2 members of your Nightmares, it would be worthwhile. He ended up getting just the best possible outcome of that situation, as all 5 members were alive there for that Baron pickup, and he was able to distract 2 members there while 1 member of Nightmares was in the grave and facing that gray screen. And now we have more focus here on this dragon as yet another Mountain Drake, the dragon of the day for sure, begins to drop down into this pit. Limit Testers already on it, and they should have enough damage to burn this one down really quickly with no opposition from the Nightmares.
Yeah,
and as I say it, they steal the Mountain Drake, the ultimate now coming out from the Wukong, and on the other side, we do have Sign Me Up going after Dopamini. Pistachio is going to be the next focus here as the resurrection comes through. The GA popped onto Dang there on the back line. He is going to end up going down, a double kill going over to Ame. So while it was a clean pickup on the Baron for them, now not many members have it, as only 2 remain on the side of Limit Testers.
I am, oh man, I want to say speechless, but it's my job to talk. So I have so much to say about that. What an incredible exploitation of that dragon. Limit Testers thought they had it. They were so confident that it got stolen from them. And that's actually the joy of this alpha male jungler. Again, psychological warfare. Make them feel safe. They have Baron. They think they've got it, and they don't. And they have an inhibitor turret now, or a Nexus turret now. That is some magical exploitation of just one weakness here. Fiora absolutely destroying it. They're going for the Nexus. They're doing their best. Fiora just gets it out from under them. Nightmares, what have you done?
37 minutes on that game, the gold difference 0.1k. At that point, it is not items, it is playability. They took advantage of everything they possibly could. A great fight back from Limit Testers, a great pickup there onto the Baron, but it wasn't quite enough. All of those attempts at starting fights near the Baron doesn't mean you're going to win the game whether or not you get it. It's the response fights there that we saw from your Nightmares that took down 3 of those Baron-empowered members and ended up cleaning up the dragon and leading to a full invade and a full push for the win. You're going to have to talk about it. I can see how speechless you are, but that was an absolutely insane game, and that's exactly what we wanted from this. It was so even throughout the entirety of it. There was really no one player that was dominating Summoner's Rift. There was really no team that was either doing that. Both of them played incredibly well. Both of them had miraculous vision control in the overall. Just a phenomenal game to end the night on and to end week 2 on as well.
Okay, listen, I would love to see that last fight. I would just love to see that one more time, if possible. My our co-caster has requested it with a large meow here. We've got Nocturne coming in here, just going in for this dragon. His second steal of the night is successful. Really tries to get that one in there. Trying to save it with that ult there from Deng, but cannot be stopped. Ame is the clutch here, absolutely destroying them. We have never seen ADCs turn the tide like this, not at all, ever in this game, but Ame is the one cleaning up. Oh, Limit's failure to shut down Ame is the thing that ultimately ended that game, and I don't blame them. When have ADCs been able to carry a game that hard in any part of this tournament? We've seen, how many games? We've seen like 7 so far, and not a single one where an ADC has come in clutch like that. And so, I mean, do you blame them for not really honestly seeing that? What a twist!
Well, and on the other side too, it really hurt to see Elise as Jhin just on the outskirts of that fight, not able to engage at all. There was no part of her kit, I believe, used at the end. I think back at base, she was able to end up using the ultimate to try to push them back from the inhibitor turret, but they weren't able to do so as the tanky champions and everybody that they needed healthy were healthy there at the end. And so while you've got, yes, Ame on the Ashe cleaning that up, you've got Elise on the other side saying, I couldn't do anything in that instance. And it was just such a good engage there from your Nightmares. I mean, Limit Testers still, yes, played that incredibly well, but your Nightmares really took advantage of every little bit that they found, and they pushed it as far as they could possibly get it to go.
Yeah, Limit Testers had the long game. They did. They had it. They were, locked down. They had control of the map the majority of the time. But even still, they were just holding on there, waiting for an in, waiting for some way to get in on that game and eliminate that Nexus. And it's just that's the joy of watching teams like this, is that one small mistake can absolutely, and that wasn't even a mistake, really. Let's talk about that. I mean, the engage there from Nocturne really just solidified it. That's pure skill, and that's what can happen in these games if you're not careful. And even then, if you're super careful, the best laid plans.
Yep. And I do think a lot of that too is most of those types of engages we were talking about, the conflict of whether or not you actually fully engage, whether or not you commit to what you're focusing on, or disengage from that objective to go on to the players, and what the amount of damage you can take from that is before you actually separate yourself. It's very difficult to do something like that. And when you have 2 players separated down, we saw the move down, Pistachio and Elise trying to follow Dopamine down towards the bottom. And that left Deng and Husky all alone up in the top of that fight with 4 members. Yes, they may have been able to get 1 takedown on that, but that was the most that your Nightmares were going to allow them to take. So a phenomenal split, a really good engage, and great engages on both sides, and disengages as well. I mean, that's what leads to a 37-minute game like that with a 0.1k gold differential.
It's heartbreaking and it's wonderful at the same time. We don't have any favor for either team. It's an incredible thing to watch play out when something like that happens. I feel like they thought they had it in the bag, unfortunately, and took just the smallest risk, and they busted it open wide into a full-on win, and that was something to behold. That's just the way that this game works, and I think that's why it's so dynamic, is that these stories can change at the blink of an eye, one small moment. I feel like I watched that Nocturne steal in slow motion. Both, I think I did watch it in slow motion during the replay.
Yes. And it was a solid one. I mean, you heard me. I was saying, there's nothing that they can do about this. The burst is so quick at this point in the game, and they had just picked up the Baron as well. They had that buff. They had pressure in the other lanes, but such a quick collapse from your Nightmares meant that Limit Testers actually, it took them a second, you could see, to find the time to react, to say, oh my gosh, they did take that away from us. Not only that, but they are continuing to engage on this fight. And even with 4 members, almost all 5 members being at close to full health, because at that point you can take quite a bit from the Dragons there. It was the split and the positioning and the aggression that they had focused on different members. The fact that they allowed, I think it was the Lulu who ended up separating down bottom lane and getting picked off, the only one in that fight from your Nightmares to go down. They allowed it to happen. They said, all right, you're our sacrifice. You're distracting 2 of these team members. We're going to keep the other 3 right here. And then at that point, Jhin, who was still at full health, at least couldn't do anything, had to just back up and recall, knowing this is where the mid lane pressure comes through. I was not expecting them to be able to take the inhibitor, both Nexus turrets, and the Nexus before the pop-up or the respawn of those next members, but that late in the game, that's what you got to push, where you have those small victories, and that one turned into a massive one, leading to an overall victory there for your Nightmares.
Yeah, shame on us for our skepticism. Right until the last 5 seconds there, we were both just like, no.
This can't be it.
Yeah.
Well,
wow.
That was a phenomenal set of games. I hope you guys enjoyed them as much as we clearly did. We do have just a quick announcement before we're going to sign off here. We do want to let you guys know that Brookworm, a Hearthstone streamer, is now part of the Supergirl Gamer Network, so keep an eye out for that. Not sure if she's going to be involved in some of these the upcoming broadcast. We do have a Hearthstone broadcast tomorrow, and then next Friday we're going to have CSGO again, the continuation. Still 7 more weeks of this. If you want to get involved, absolutely sign up. Even better if you are female or non-binary. That is one of the restrictions, is that these teams have at least 3 female or non-binary players on the team. So guys, you can absolutely sign up as well. Join the Discord group. Try to find a team if you don't have one already to sign up for it. But please, the more people, the better. This is exactly what we want to see. We've had some amazing even games. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Lisa Jolly. I've also got Kari, I guess this side. Kari Wave over on this side. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you guys next week.
Make sure to stick around. We are raiding Brookworm, so please do not leave yet until we pass off the raid. We would love to see you in Brookworm's stream.
So I'm gonna hold on promoting you this quarter. Cool?
Drop the taco. Get in the car. Does this Sentra feel like a compromise to you?
Wait, what?
The handling, it's good, right? No compromise there.
Nope.
Watch this.
Breathe.
Rear automatic braking. So if this Nissan Sentra isn't going to compromise, why should you?
You're right.
Atta girl.
The all-new Nissan Sentra, with more standard safety features than any other car in its class.
No one knows where it comes from. Why some have it and some don't. It's the fighting spirit. It consumes fear and weakness. It stands ready to fight whatever shape the battle takes. Because as long as there are battles, there will always be Marines.
I never thought I'd feel this way.
No, don't hold on to me.
It's all worth it.
Ladies, Chris.
I hear that's really bad for you.
What? No, this is about finding true love.
No, I mean the screen.
Oh, no, we're all good there. These Zenny lenses, they block the blue light.
Oh. I mean, that's still really bad for you.
This is amazing. Please go away.
Chelsea.
Oh, no, don't pick her. Oh.
For a long time, we had to prove ourselves. but we always knew what we were capable of. We knew when the time came, we would be ready for anything. Our numbers keep rising. And so do we.
You can trade all the games, accessories, consoles, and tech you don't use anymore to get cash or store credit at GameStop. Check out the Trade Center on the GameStop app, visit GameStop.com/trade, or talk to a guest advisor at your local GameStop store to see how much your trades are worth.